Good morning and afternoon for some, and evening for others. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and just happy Thursday to everybody else. I'm Grindhead Jim. Welcome to the show, and you are not alone. And neither am I. 'Cause I see some people in chat already. I see Billy Wifta, and Epic Badger showing up, which is awesome. Thank you for being here. Um, Bill, I know that you guys celebrate a little bit later. Um, so thank you. And Badger, I would presume that you are doing something. I hope you're doing something. And if not, I'm glad you're here because you're not alone. See, it all works out. It all works out. Let me know if the microphone is okay. Hello. I'm sure it sounds fine. I've done multiple tests on it. This thing packs a punch for its meager price. If you guys want me to talk about it, I will. Um, Hi, right back to you there, Badger boy. Badger boy. I don't know why I say it like that, but I did. Got some coffee. Lauren made sure to hook me up, so all I had to do was get up and turn on the coffee, which is great. It's one of the best things ever. I used to be in that habit for a long time when I got out of it, but now that you have to pass the kitchen now to go upstairs, I always ask her, like, can you fix the coffee pot before you go to bed? Kind of thing. So it works out well. Badger says he's at his parents' place, checking out a hotel in 30 minutes, spend the rest of the day with them. Awesome. Well, I figured that's where you were. So the fact that you're taking the time to hang out even for just a half hour, I really appreciate it. Um, that's awesome. I'm glad you're with your family. We're gonna go over to the in-laws at 3 or 4 Pacific, which um, that's really late by my tradition standards, but I'm not mad about it at all. There's a lot of family coming, and we had in order to coordinate everyone's ability to be there within a specific time and the drive to be reasonable and accommodate everybody. That was the time that we needed, so it works out okay. That means we don't have to do much. Um, with part of what made this stream even easier was to be able to go, okay, I want to take the morning, do an hour or 3 or whatever, how long we're on, and then I can just kind of chill for a couple hours, and then we can go for Thanksgiving. It's weird not having to cook at all. Like I don't even have to give instructions or anything. That's the first time, and with one exception, that's the first time in like 17 years that I haven't had to have some major hand in the dinner and everything. Um, so I'm again not complaining about anything. Like all we're bringing is a bottle of booze. There's a specific drink that parts of the family really enjoy, and my mother-in-law hadn't yet gotten the specific vodka. It's a flavored vodka, which I'm hit or miss, but this stuff looks really good. So we got that. We're bringing that along. So we'll do that, and that'll be fun. It'll be good. People are starting to roll in here. I see Gojatron. I see Mr. Weird Fed. Okay, it's still Billy Whift. I see Boba Hicks. See everybody saying hi to everybody. Appreciate you guys very much. Uh, Anyone else that is here hasn't chimed in or has chimed in, welcome. If I missed you, I apologize. But again, I hope the new mic sounds better than the camera mic. Dun, dun, dun. Bum, bum. Hope it sounds good. Um, just looking at my gimbal, the gimbal battery's like, no, no, please. And realize it doesn't have to do anything. Like once I have it in place, it should just stay there, right? We'll see. We'll see. Oh, hi, Mark. So anyway, how's your sex life? Yeah. I see what you're doing there. But things are good here. I am, I'm beyond grateful to have a place to go to for the holiday. Um, so forgive me when I talk about the fact that it is weird not cooking my own dinner or having a hand in creating that. Right? I don't really know what to expect. Uh, we did have Christmas dinner, obviously, with family last year. So I expect more of the same there. Um, but Thanksgiving and Christmas are totally different vibes. So I'm interested to see where it goes. We, as a family, don't talk politics that much when we're in a large group. I talk politics with my father-in-law on and off. Um, Without going into detail, let's just say that we have similar views that come from different perspectives. So the head of the household where I'm going is on a similar page to me, so I'm not too worried. But no one in the family really goes down that road. We're much more humanistic than anything else, regardless of where our politics lie. Um, and I say that only because I don't know for a fact where everyone's politics are. I just have my reference point, but it's cool because going back home in Pennsylvania or being there when I lived there and having a large family dinner, I knew I was going to hear at least one thing that really made me want to like yell at the person. And it wasn't always the same person, right? So there's that American tradition. So like Boba Hicks is saying, "Happy Thanksgiving to Americans." Um, thank you. I wish a happy Indigenous Peoples Day to Indigenous people, because what this holiday is supposed to celebrate just isn't true. So, but it's so ingrained in our culture at this point that I just make a big fuss about Indigenous people and how they got fucked over. And I say it every year. Now I've said it. Um, oh, wow. Goji says, I'm on my way to family dinner. I don't have to cook or drive. Damn, dude, that's nice. I don't think I'm driving. I'm still not used to it here. Even though I have my fancy driver's license, my permanent one came 2 weeks ago, week ago. I don't remember. It was a really big deal. I was very happy. I was gonna post a like Instagram photo, but I'm like, I got to cover the whole thing because you can't. But I thought about it, and I have driven here when we were up here to get Lauren, move her down to Texas. I drove to her dad's place both times. Or drove to her dad's place when we left, and then drove the rest of the way home. And then when we went over there to visit, when I met them the first time, I drove back, kind of a thing. Giraffe says, I better be alone or there's someone in the house that I don't know about right now. You're safe. I mean, you're not alone here. And in here. In your house, I hope you're safe and secure, my friend. Billy Wifta says, you can be thankful for blessings and good things in life. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. And I think that even culturally, I think, which is this is a rare thing. It's a good thing to bring up, and I'm glad you say it that way, Bill. I do think that in the last decade or so, more so the last like 5 or 6 years, maybe people being cooped up because of the pandemic or COVID or whatever. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But I have noticed that people are a bit more, for lack of a better word, I think they're more tolerant of each other within the confines of this holiday. Yeah, there's some people that have political arguments and stuff like that, but that's been a thing since this holiday began. Thanksgiving is kind of like the let's have an argument over a couple beers and dinner kind of thing. But overall, I think that the attitude towards this holiday has been much improved. So I'm not like saying I good, you bad, and I'm not saying don't eat turkey or whatever the fuck. I'm not saying that. I've been militant about that in the past, but it's like, you know what? You still, even when I was like super militant about it and I was a vegetarian on top of that, I still had a Thanksgiving-esque dinner even for myself. So I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum here. Largo's Lair in the House says, greetings. I say greetings back to you, sir. Badger says, driving, the freedom of the road versus flying. 13 hours but through the beautiful American West. Yeah, it is nice. Um, Frankly, we're looking forward to a bigger car, and then we can start enjoying that a bit more, because even 3 years ago, which was some pounds ago, it was still a bit cramped. Like, even for us when we were both in relatively good shape. We got fat and happy since we got married, and we're working on that. I've been losing weight. She's been losing weight. Um, walking across the house to the bathroom, although it can still sometimes be stiff and painful, is nothing near what it was when I first got here. So we're going to be getting a larger car, hopefully the next couple of years. I can't say for sure. It will probably come before a house does, because she really, really wants another car other than what we have. Not a second one, but at least a better car. And I'd like to provide that. And we shopped for one for months. We know what we want. And it's more of a travel car. So we definitely want to get into traveling a little bit more. We need to be more comfortable doing it. Plus, having Gabby and Jasper, and presumably at least one more cat before too long, you want to have the space to give them what they need and so forth, and have space to take luggage, or if we're driving to a convention to sell stuff like that. So it's on the list. I love a good road trip. I love a good road trip. And I was a little disappointed when I made the decision not to drive up here for the move. But as I've told many a time, it didn't make a lot of sense to do. But we have a video coming up that explains all of that, with some footage throughout the move and everything else. Some cool stuff. I just have to find my graphics card before I can begin editing it, because this computer was set up with that graphics card in mind. And now when I try to open up the editing software, it says, I'm not doing a fucking thing until you give me back my graphics card, buddy. I'm not doing it. I'm like, okay. So there's that. Super Awesome Geek Show says, hey, happy T-Day. Well, happy T-Day to you too, sir. Welcome. Boba Hicks with a question. It says, is it true that Thanksgiving used to occur on different dates depending on which part of the country you lived in before it became the same date nationwide? It might be. That might be true. What I can say with absolute certainty is that for as long as I've lived, which is close to half a century, we've had Thanksgiving on every third Thursday in November. So it's always a Thursday. It's always in November. And it's the third Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Third full week kind of a thing. So is it possible it was different before then? Very possible, knowing America and how we operate around here. But I don't know that for sure. And Bill's saying the same thing. He says, I don't know, but it rings true. I agree. Largo says, it's been a rough year. Hope everyone's hanging in there. Yeah, it's been a lot for everybody. I'm not going to go into a deep rant here, except to say that I wish this year had been different for a lot of people. But even given the circumstances we find ourselves in, I think that people have shown themselves to be resilient, and there's more good than bad at this point. I'd like to keep it that way. Speaking of my own personal life, I can say with certainty that I would have preferred just to, as soon as we finish things up here in Christmas time, be able to turn around and just come home here. Not saying that I regret anything that happened in Texas while we were in Texas. The amount of relief that I felt getting here, I would have loved to have had sooner this year. But I do hope that everyone's all right. I see DTH Blitz. Happy Turkey Day. Happy Turkey Day to you. Giraffe says, turkey's about to get started. We'll pack it on all the fixings and heading over to see Dad later tonight for dinner. Our second year of Thanksgiving without Mom. Keep traditions going. You have to. You have to. I always took Thanksgiving pretty seriously as a thing, especially when I couldn't be there when my family was around. There were many Thanksgivings that occurred without me. I just couldn't afford to get home, and my family couldn't afford to help me get there, kind of a thing, or wouldn't, depending upon which member of the family you talk to. Um, so I made it a point to participate vicariously. And then after mom died, I took it way more seriously because I wasn't going home because there was no home to go to. Um, you keep doing what you're doing, man. It's important. JLS Comics is here, says happy Thanksgiving, friends. Happy to you as well. Manic Plastics here. Hey, nice to see you. Okay. JLS Comics is fun fact. February 1795 was a Thanksgiving day. Well, I think that definitively answers your question, Mark. Clearly, they were all over the place for at least a little while before settling on third Thursday in November. I mean, for me, I look at Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter. Most of your major holidays that don't have a direct tie to the country itself. As far as being like President's Day or July 4th, stuff like that. I feel like those really came into fruition and like really became kind of what we know them to be in the early part of the 20th century. You know, you look at like what Coca-Cola did to the image of Santa Claus. You look at the Easter Bunny and what different companies did with that idea. You know, certainly Thanksgiving as a tradition, which is here, buy all of our stuff at lower prices to get out of our warehouses so we can sell you new shit next year. You know, Black Friday. We watched that horror movie Thanksgiving again last night. Well, Lauren watched it. I fell asleep for the middle third, more than the middle third. Back was really bothering me, and I had just enough medication and just passed right out, which I needed. I needed that. But it's the second time we've watched it, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's fine. If you haven't seen it and you do like Eli Roth's style of just kind of straight cutthroat kind of filmmaking, check it out. It's really good. It's on Hulu. I believe it's a Hulu original. I hope it gets a physical release. If it hasn't already, I got to find it because it's fun. I think that every major holiday needs a good slasher. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is this weekend. Lauren's been not pestering me, but being very persistent of like, are we putting up the Christmas tree this weekend? Because I had made it clear to her that that's when we did it when I was growing up, as you know, our family. We did it over Thanksgiving weekend. It was really important to me, and so it has become important to her. And because before she was like, no tree before December, you know, so that she totally flipped on that, and so, and the thing is, when we were moving in, when we recognized the Christmas stuff, we put it right in our coat closet, which is right over here. And it's such a big, like a deep closet for that, for just coats and stuff. It's probably going to be the permanent place for Christmas stuff because we don't have that much, right? We have one small tote and we have the tree, and that's all we need. Put the tree up, plug her in, put the topper on, and I'm, for the first time since we've been married, I'm going to put my actual Christmas ornaments on, and then we're going to start shopping for ornaments that mean something to her, so we can get at least a dozen or so special ones and then rotate them out or whatever. It'll be fun. Whoa, my gimbal just died. Don't worry, I'm okay. I knew that was going to happen. I figured I had more time before that happened. That's all right. We're going to do what we did last time, boys. We're going to do what we did last time. We're going to take this cheapo manual one and get that going. So just give me a second. My bad. At least the mic isn't affected by this. So sorry, I'm going to try and give you as least nausea-inducing as I can visuals. Here we go. Sorry about this. There we go. So now, I'm going to try to get this looking the way it's supposed to look. And we'll get this down as far as we can and still work. Just that. Do the job. Okay, it's a little wobbly, but it works. That's all right. I ain't mad about it. I am not shook, as the kids sometimes say. Okay, so camera's back. Sorry about that. But you can kind of get a feel for what it was on before. So this is the motorized gimbal that I use for a lot of stuff. I love this thing. I've just been using it so much, I don't charge it that often. And I really should get in the habit of charging it all the time. And this microphone is from the same company and really has done an excellent job since I got it last week. If I could get this thing to close properly, that would be awesome. What am I doing wrong here? My bad. There we go. Now it's okay. So now I'm going to charge her up. I got a cable right here I could do that with. I know, behind the scenes, right? This is it, right? Is that it? Or is this it? No. Oh, it's up here. There we go. All right, so that's charging up. That's all good. I am not upset by that at all. Just trying to keep my parts together. But the DJI stuff, they make good stuff, man. All right. I got some comments to catch up on, though. That's good. Largo says, just me and the doggos today, no feast day here. Sorry about that. Guatemala is different, though, I would assume. Thursday thing probably happened was a federal holiday. That makes sense, too. I get that. Giraffe says, that date doesn't work for me. I'll still be recovering from all the Valentine's Day chocolates I gorged myself with by the 19th. Glad it's end of November now. I think it makes sense. Goji says, our Christmas tree goes up a little earlier every year, like Black Friday sales ads. I hear you. Yeah, for my family, it was very traditional all the way up until Mom's death that at least her tree would be up no later than Sunday night after Thanksgiving. Usually it was up Sunday and then decorated Sunday evening. Kind of made a day out of it. JLS comment says, apparently FDR moved to the third Thursday in November to make it a longer Christmas shopping season, but not every state did, which led to mass confusion. It became law in 1941 to standardize the holiday. There's a definitive answer for you, Mark. I love you guys. Bill, of course, reacting to the Osmo Gimbal losing power. He goes, ah! Yes, I was doing barrel rolls. That's right. 100%. I like that. Giraffe says to Largo, I bet your dogs would love some turkey. If I had to guess, I bet a dog could vote. The winner of their favorite holiday would have to be Thanksgiving. Yeah, yes. Giraffe. Okay, this is a good question. This is very toy related. Very good, very good. In fact, I'll come back to it in just 1 second. Billy Wifta says, Paula, what are you watching? Me. Jim, fold up a tripod. Paula, better than watch him and Melvory eat Big Macs. They were double quarter pounders. God damn it. If you're going to make fun of me, get it right. I love you, Paula. Giraffe says, have you set up your Eternia playset yet? A camera mounted on the tram might make it an amazing dynamic camera for YouTube streaming. No, I have not. I haven't set up anything down there yet. We're still working on the rest of the house. Because essentially it's kind of been, we get a few days of productivity, few days of rest, few days of productivity, few days of rest. Because we're just not in very good shape. We're getting in better shape, but our knees are barking, our backs are barking, because, walking Gabby, for Lauren's perspective, walking Gabby in Texas was a matter of, it was a straight line, right? You're flat for the most part, no hills really. Whereas here, there's nowhere to walk her without a hill in one direction or the other, and you have to go in the opposite direction coming back. So right away, that was a difference for her, and it's been helping. But that means her energy level has to adjust. And me going up and down stairs, walking twice as far as I have to walk for the bathroom, things like that. I know that seems small, but when you're really sedentary, that makes a difference. So, we'll be productive, doing what we're doing, unpacking, whatever, and then we always make it a point to take a rest, let our bodies mend, and rebuild. Because if we keep doing that, we're slowly building up our muscles, we're slowly building up our muscle memory and getting it done. I don't want to rush this process and then end up with what we ended up with down in Texas, which is just stuff randomly everywhere. Trying very hard to avoid that. So, as such, to get more to your question, I want the entire first floor. I want all the other rooms done in the house before I even go down to the toy room for a second. That's just the way it is. Because I need a place to retreat to. If I'm in the toy room and I'm putting something up and I'm just like, and I can't deal with the chaos anymore. And I'll have the office for that. I'll have the living room for that. I'll have the bedroom for that. I'll have the dining room. I'll have the kitchen. Like everything will just be ready to go. But when I'd be in the office and the chaos would get to me of trying to depackage stuff or whatever, and I'd come out in the living room, and although the living room could be very clean, there's still visual remnants of like, we never really unpacked this room the way we should have. If I was to turn my head this way, I could see into the kitchen where we had a big stack of boxes we just never fucking touched. So we're trying to avoid these things. But I love the idea for the tram cam, and I'll come back to it here. Epic Badger's heading out. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, buddy. Say hi to your family for us. We love you very much. Safe trip home if I don't talk to you. But yes, doing an action cam on the tram can probably make that happen. Let me rephrase that. I will make that happen. It's just a question of how I do it. So in a perfect world, I would get an action cam that can connect to a computer wirelessly in some way. And I got to figure out which ones do that. The DJI stuff might work that way. I got to check. Because if it does, perfect. Because they're tiny. They're like little tiny. They're like GoPros, but smaller. And arguably better image quality. I do have a GoPro floating around somewhere in my stuff. But it's a GoPro from like 9 years ago. It's a great camera. It's a really great camera. But I know for a fact it doesn't connect wirelessly. In fact, I had to finagle it to get it to connect to the computer to be used as a webcam, because I use it as like a wide angle lens to cover the whole room when I was doing VR stuff. And I was going to use it as my main webcam for a while there. But I was getting such good results with the C920. I was like, well, I don't need to do that. But it's something I plan to get more use out of. And it is probably going to be my wide angle camera for the toy room itself. It's just a question of where I place that, and then just running the cord around to the computer or whatever. But having an action cam on the tram, it's a really smart idea, and I'm stealing it. I just got to figure out how to make that happen. Rather than the actual, tram car, I would use the other one where like Skeletor is hanging off of it, or the gun thing. I think that would make the most sense. And then you just kind of double-sided tape, or maybe I could 3D print a piece to fit. It's a cool puzzle to solve. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I love the idea. Come on. Largo says quarter pounder with cheese. Nah, cheese royale with cheese. Now we're not metric up here in Portland, so it's a thing. Largo says changing altitude and latitude takes time to acclimate to. You're right. It's true. It's you love the Spidey t-shirt, but you kind of miss the ball caps. I have a few sitting here. I just haven't been wearing them lately. I mean, I'll come back to it. I mean, if you miss them that much, I can make that happen to a degree. But with my hair being so long and relatively thick up here, like putting a hat on is weird. It's very weirdly difficult. I don't know. I don't think my head is swollen that much with the hair, but apparently it is. So, but baseball caps, I still buy them. I got a new hat a couple months before we left, and it's floating over there. But yeah, I still do the baseball caps from time to time. If I get up to refill this coffee, I will grab a baseball cap on my way back. Okay, I can do that. Goji has arrived at his dinner destination and asks everyone to have a great day. I hope you have an excellent day yourself, sir. I appreciate you so much. Man, my fucking mouse sucks today. What's in here? Yeah, we're swapping that out. Yeah, it's got this old as fuck battery, and it looks like it's old. But whether it's old or not, it's getting replaced right the fuck now because I am tired of its shenanigans. Feels like a substandard battery, so we're going to treat it like one, right? I know I got new ones right here. Oh. Really? Okay. Oh, we'll try it. Do. Not much better. All right. Maybe it's. Yeah, it is that. Okay. Good to know. My corduroy couch. Not good for a mouse. Did not think of that. But there you go. It's okay, though. It's all right. See, that's one of the things I love about this mic. I can talk a lot quieter, and you can still hear me. I don't have to yell or project or anything if I don't want to. It's right here. It's right here. And old buddy of mine who used to be much bigger in the Destiny community, he reviewed this mic that's similar to the broadcast mic that I use when I'm in the office. Very similar to that in terms of its frequency response and everything else. And I guess this thing's only like $100. So right away, I perk my ears. I'm like, $100? I like that price point for a good mic. And it's always like, well, I want to make sure I have a good mic. Here's the thing. It is completely wireless if you want it to be. You can make it wired with an XLR hookup. You can use USB, but it does have the option to just be completely wireless, and you can mount it wherever the fuck you want. And I'm just like, oh, that's pretty awesome. So I'm looking at, I'm not going to get that anytime soon. I'm going to keep my eyes on it because they apparently make some other cool stuff too. Mainly, it's like, well, I already had technically wireless mics and stuff. I just got this recently because I wanted to make sure that we had something that worked really well in here and also for any of the shorts that I'm making and stuff. So I'm always planning to, I I like to upgrade things, but now having multiple rooms, right? So the idea of having a broadcast quality mic that's wireless, so anywhere I am in the toy room, I can just be like, I'm gonna set the camera and stuff like that. So I'm, JLS asks, I'm going to attend. I'm trying to get my mouse there. I'm sorry. Go to the Fan Expo in Portland in January. Wasn't planning on it, but it might happen. I've heard tell of such things for sure. But I don't know if I'm actually going to make that one yet now. All comes down to how things are going here. But if I have my way, things will be done here as far as the move, with the exception of the toy room, which will be an ongoing process. And I'll have had time to rest and maybe we can go. Manic Plastic asks, have I ever gotten anything new? Yes. My pile of loot continues to grow over at Big Bad, and I'm kind of torn on getting it shipped for multiple reasons. The number one reason is that it is the holiday season coming up, and shipping is particularly brutal this time of year. In fact, I can show you something. I just got the new Mattel Creations exclusive. And I don't know if you can see, I'll try to show it as best I can. You might be able to see like the crease right there in the box, because it got crushed in shipping. Like the camera does not do it justice, I don't think, how mutilated that is. Now, granted, if I press this in and stretch this out, can I make this into something a bit straighter? Yeah. So I'm not worried about it at the end of the day. I'm glad to have it. This Red Shadow figure is really cool. He's not staying in the package long term anyway. That's just not what he was. He was bought because I want to get him out. I'm just saying that this is an example. Especially with Mattel, they're no longer putting the shipper box inside of a shipper box. They did that in the beginning. Now they don't do that. If they were still doing that, I would be so worried. And Big Bad, apparently, with this whole upgrade to their mint system, it sounds like they're going to be taking a little bit more care with their packing. We'll see. But I hope against hope that everything's going to be okay. Also, yesterday was a big eye-opener, too, because when he arrived, it was misting outside. And he went on the back porch. I always tell him to put him on the front porch because I don't want to go down those stairs unless I have to. They put him back there and just missed. So the box was soggy when I got it. And I'm like, that alone was like, oh, well, I got to get a mailbox here. That's just all there is to it. I have to have one. I was trying my best to avoid it. Yeah, can't do that. Can't do it. So we're going to be getting a mailbox here. There's a place right down the hill, just half mile away, even closer than before. So less excuses not to go there. But as soon as I have that up and running, that'll be available on Patreon and for YouTube channel members as well. And anyone who asks nicely. So that is something. It's just something I was hoping to avoid, just because it's an extra cost, extra hassle. But the idea of my packages not getting soaked would be nice, because I have a substantial pile of loot coming my way. Very substantial. Tons of stuff, actually. Not dissimilar from what built up when we moved into the apartment down in Dallas. But I think you guys will like it. The only spoiler that I'll give you is that one of the things, because I've talked about this before, is the final piece of Devastator. I thought it was more ceremonious thing to receive it here and it be last. And then there'll be a whole live stream of me figuring out how to fuck to transform everything into Devastator. And then that'll be an exclusive. Then we'll cut that down into a video for everybody. So, and in case you didn't know, that's kind of the MO going forward. Once we start working on the toy room, we're doing live streams when we're working on that for Patreon members and YouTube members. And then we're going to take that footage, turn around, and edit it into time lapses with vlog content and, slowly like episode 1, episode 2, things like that. So that we're making content for both. And that's the plan moving forward. Then once everything's done, we'll have a discussion with Patreon and YouTube members, like what did you like, what didn't you like, what would you like more of, because there's going to be so much to make content on. Because although at one point I was like, I don't know if I want to be that guy that just grabs his toys off the shelf and starts talking about them. I got so much stuff. It's like, well, why wouldn't I talk about them? So what's going to happen directly after everything's done, we'll do a room tour, a proper room tour that we've always wanted to do. And once that's done, then I'll just start randomly deciding which toys we want to talk about. We'll be doing that. So it'll be good stuff. Good stuff. Man of Plastic says everyone hit the like button. Thank you. I would appreciate that. Giraffe says Powers of Grayskull. I love that packaging. It's a real shame that got hurt so bad. Largo says recently received Monster Force Valaverse Dia de los Muertos figure is in transit. So between Miami and Guatemala City. Yeah, I hear you. I had before I tell that story, we get to Giraffe's last comment. Unfortunately, my Red Shadow box was damaged on the top corner. I tore it open anyway to get to the good stuff inside. Fair enough. And here's the thing. They are now that I live in a state that there's no sales tax. I had 8% state sales tax down in Texas. I don't have that here. So everything is less expensive that isn't set in the state. So like cost of living here is higher by a little bit. Not a ton, but enough that you notice. And here it's a matter of finding which stores are more competitive, right? So groceries, stuff like that, I've had to like re-navigate, and I've got it to where we're pretty good. Safeway apparently is the place to be around here. One, they've got the kind of steaks that we like at the price we want, and they carry just about everything else that we like at a good price. Plus, there's one right here. Doesn't hurt a thing. The only place I have to go outside of there to get anything that I really want is to get my Dunkin' Donuts creamer that I like. I have to go to Target, at least as far as what's available on delivery apps and shit like that, right? So I've been navigating that since we've been here, and overall we're in good shape, real good shape actually. The more I think about it, but when it comes to shipping and everything and the pricing of stuff, so like anything that's online, so like Amazon, Mattel Creations, Target, like something that's shipping, like a retail thing, right? It's gonna be the same price pretty much everywhere, but I don't have to pay the tax anymore. So all of a sudden, toys got cheaper. Boba Hicks is asking if they sell Campbell's soup there. Yeah, it's a national brand. Yeah, they do. Which we do get. We get the cream of mushroom soup, which is an integral ingredient for a comfort food that we eat a lot. And yeah, Giraffe says, get the membership and use the app to get silly digital deals. Oh, dude, yeah, for sure. I already have a membership with Safeway because they're part of the Kroger, Albertsons, Tom Thumb umbrella. That's part of the weirdness of it, right? Like these are all part of the same family of stores, but we have Kroger's up here. We have Albertsons, we have Tom Thumb, we have Safeway, but they're all owned by the same parent company. And it just, which name they slap on the grocery store depends on which neighborhood you're in. It's fucked up. So I find it weird that one of the cheapest places to shop for groceries is in one of the more affluent suburbs, because everyone here that I know goes, "Oh, you live in Beaverton, hoity-toity," and it's kind of true. I'm not gonna sugarcoat. Like, I'm not. This is not like some punk capital of the world here in Beaverton. It's nice. Lots of 30 and 40 something ladies in jogging suits walking dogs that don't have any need to exist genetically, if you get my drift. The those kind of dogs. Yeah. So the fact that it's cheaper to shop right down the hill is really weird, because it's this huge shopping center, right? Like, the whole thing is the size of a old school shopping mall, but all the stores are kind of around, and then there's a couple that kind of are in the middle. So it's like a shopping mall, but it operates like a shopping mall, but is laid out like a shopping center, if that makes sense. So you have everything is out of doors, kind of like the difference between a hotel and a motel. So a hotel, you walk in and you have interior access to your room. A motel, your room has exterior access. That's the difference. And this kind of has all of the amenities and bouginess of a shopping mall, but everything's exterior access. So there's a huge AMC theater there, so we'll be seeing more movies, hopefully. And there's a Safeway there, and there's like this real nice liquor store there, but oddly their prices are really reasonable. My point is, like, they have all this really nice stuff, but the prices are pretty fucking good, generally speaking. But yet, if I go to an Albertsons grocery store half a mile away, some stuff's twice the price. I don't get it. I don't understand. Bobak says, "Oh, Beaverton, very posh. Quite. Yes." Giraffe asks, "Why do I only see beavers wearing fancy hats and walking around town with small dogs now?" I mean, it's one way to put it. No, it'd be funny. I always call it Beaver Town, because in Wisconsin, there's a place called Appleton, Appleton, Appleton. And it's a cool little place, middle of nowhere, right off the highway, but like just no reason for you to go there. But apparently most of your metal scene in that part of Wisconsin is concentrated there. And my then wife took me to a show out there. It was Divine Empire, which had some buddies of mine in it at the time, and other local-ish regional bands that we knew. So it was a pretty stacked gig. And then Divine Empire goes up. It's Jay Blackowicz on vocals. You guys won't know him, but he goes, "Appletown." Instead of Appleton, he says Appletown. So it was a big private joke amongst many, many people. So as soon as I saw that we're going to be moving to Beaverton, I'm like, Beavertown. I just call it that all the time. I'm not ashamed of it, but it is silly. Like on I forget which app it is, but like you have to name your home, not network, but home group of something, or your address or whatever. And everywhere that I had that change, I put Beavertown. It's just funny to me. Sorry. Largo says, Winona's Big Brown Beaver was definitely not for Beaverton. You're right about that. And I'm glad I'm making somebody laugh, Giraffe. I'm glad I'm making somebody laugh. So we're approaching hour 1. Still going pretty strong. So we're not going anywhere. We're just here to hang out and chill. All right. Those of you that are celebrating or need to go places, like as you've seen, come and go as you please. It's fine. I don't know how long we're going to go, but I'm not ready to leave just yet. I'm going to slowly finish this coffee and then fill that back up, and then we'll Maybe we'll do a 2-cup of coffee stream. I don't know. Having fun. And then the other thing that I wanted to spoil, which again I think I've talked about before, with the big pile of loot, is that I did wind up getting a second Fright Zone because they really didn't. They didn't mark it up that much, so I was like, this is a safety net for me. If I open up the one I have and there's something wrong with it, or like the box has some crush on it, I'll have a second one. And then regardless, both one can be displayed with the front, one can be displayed with the back, and I have the full play value of everything. The display is going to be awesome, this and that. So there's that. Last week it was. We had some really good friends over. Someone from like right out of high school, a friend of mine. We were thick as thieves, very, very close for a long time. Dated for a short period, but definitely really close with each other. She moved up here to Portland almost 20 years ago. And she, with a coworker, met up with me when we Cardiac played here in 2010. And we've been keeping in touch on and off ever since. But her and her husband came up to visit us on last Friday and stuff. And then we've been talking more since because it's like, okay, it's not weird. It's nice. You know, we all got along really, really well. I was really happy about that. And she revealed that she has a bunch of like old She-Ra stuff. And I was like, you do? But she seems keen on hanging on to it. But just seems a little bit energized that like now there's a toy collector in her midst. So Boba Hicks is hooking up some turkey burgers. The secret to turkey burgers is a little bit of liquid smoke, a little bit of teriyaki. A little bit of liquid smoke and teriyaki. Trust me. Giraffe says it starts with just getting one more. Next thing your house will be covered in Fright Zones. I mean, fair, but I haven't gotten a second Eternia yet. I might actually. I've thought about it because now all the people that bought them to flip them, that price keeps going down. So it might be one of those haha fuck you moments, like once I start working again, when we're making a little bit more money, and just be like ha ha ha, you know. But that's kind of a thing with my toy purchases have been very deliberate. And I pre-ordered the most recent Iceman, the Secret Wars one, but you figure I've got pardon me, Retro Card X-Men, Iceman from like 21, 22, and I have the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends Iceman from 22, 23. I don't need another Iceman. But Hasbro fucking knows that. And I don't see anyone talking about this. But here's the thing with Iceman. All of the Iceman I've just mentioned, they all come with this little tiny sled. About that big. So he's like, I'm on an ice sled, right? This is the only one. This new Secret Wars one that comes with something that comes off his hands. Little ice to make the sled. As far as I can tell, this is the first time this has been a thing. So I was like, God damn it. I was really pissed off when I found out because I was about to cancel the pre-order. I'm like, well, no, now I want it. So, yeah. So he's in there, and he wasn't supposed to be in there. So, you guys ever do that? Like, take a figure you have more than one of already, and then something comes out with an accessory or like a paint or something that you really, really wanted, you just buy the extra figure just to have that stuff. But Motu is a good example of that, so we'll give Motu a wash. Because there's so much in Motu that does that. And to answer the earlier question, do I have anything new? On the last stream, I did show off a vintage style Skeletor for the Masterverse line that was on sale for like $15. Because again, I have Walmart Plus, so I don't have any shipping costs at all. And I have no tax here. $15 is $15. So it was really cool to get them for that price. And, you know, I talk about there being a toy display in the office. There will be. It'll be small. It'll be the nice stuff, whatever. And when I say I have to have everything done before I go downstairs, that's the one piece that I can't have finished because I got to find all the toys. So the office will be done except for the toy display that goes in there. And then the toy room can begin and it becomes something fun to do. We'll see. Giraffe says 6 towers is better than 3 towers. Let's go ultimate track. I wasn't thinking about doing it like that. I really wasn't. I was just thinking like, ooh, I could, like, for example, if I wanted to, I could like cut up the box, you know, and flatten the box. That'd be kind of fun to take that box, cut all the tape and flatten it out, like the whole thing, and just have it be like you display it like you would a pelt on a wall. Like that box being so big like that, that would be kind of fun. But obviously, we have that really nice poster that came with it. So I probably wouldn't actually do that. And the fact is, it's very much, pardon me, more for the haha fuck you than it is for any like practical purpose of having a second Eternia. With having a second Fright Zone, there was a practical purpose behind it. You know, having both configurations on display at all times. I'm still on the fence about this new Castle Grayskull they have coming out. I don't like the paint job on it at all. The accessories are nice. I like the new spacesuit guy. I have the original. I don't need that. I like the matte, but I don't like it enough to pay $100 for it. I like the artwork on the box. What I am probably going to end up doing, and I can't say this for certain, but it all comes down to how money is when they come out and if they sell well. Because if they come out and I don't feel like spending the money that the pre-order was, I'll cancel it. But that motherfucker might go on clearance. If I can get that thing for like under $50, like that's an easy buy, because the box artwork is really cool and the mat is cool enough, if that makes sense. Plus, technically, that gives me a third Castle Grayskull deck, because I already have 2 Grayskulls. I have the one that I bought way at the beginning of the channel, but I had one that Jesse gave to me because he had won it from Stu during one of the trivia contests or at the end of one of the Give Kids the World streams. So I am the proud owner of that Grayskull, and I am thinking about cannibalizing that second one and making like the 3-wall Grayskull. So it's a ton of things I'm thinking about, because like one of the things I was like, am I going to be able to afford these tables? And I found a really, really good deal on the tables that I want. So I bought them. So we have 6 of those, and they're not small tables. They're 6 foot wide, just shy of 3 foot deep. I have 6 of them. So what's going to happen is, like, when you walk into the toy room, you'll be met by 2 of those tables put side by side, long ways going to the wall. And at the corner, like where it meets the wall, that's where Eternia is going to live. It'd be good. Says it fit right there in Fancy Beaver Town. Invite Thurston Howell over for a smoke with the pelt. Yeah, it is. There are some things that I thought would be kind of cool to do eventually. How much of this I get to do here, I don't know yet. But one of the things that would be kind of fun is, like, I remember like the chintzy animatronic motion cycles that you'd see at like shopping malls and stuff for like Easter and Christmas and stuff. And I thought it'd be kind of neat to find a way to get some like Lazy Susans and rewire them so like they go in a certain direction, like they're turning to simulate movement. Put things on conveyors, have lights, and time them all out. Because there's this relatively easy software to program that kind of stuff with. But then it's a question of, okay, how do I make it? I would love to make it so that with the flip of a switch or saying something to a word over here, I could get it to do like a sequence and it shine a light on these things like, oh, behold, He-Man, blah, 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 blah. It'd be kind of neat to do something like that. But that's way in the future. That's some silver spoon shit right there. You know what I mean? It's good coffee. But I am beyond excited for all this. And although, you know, I've said I'm going to be building up things and streaming and videotaping, the first example being Eternia itself, right? That's the first thing I want to build up in there. Unless something catastrophic happens where I can't make that occur, knock on wood, that's the plan. Because it does kind of set the center stage for everything else around it. So it's kind of, okay, we do that. It's this triumphant, it's kind of this victory lap. You know, it'll take me a couple hours to do because I plan to do it in one sitting. Just wake up in the morning, grab some coffee, set the cameras up, and just go. You know, and you know, with that, that's not the only thing that's going to get done. Like, there's once we get to the Motu stuff, it's going to go pretty fucking fast because all the Motu stuff is loose in bags. All of it, except for like less than a dozen boxes at this point. You know, and anything that's in a Mattel Creations shipper box that isn't out can be out in a matter of seconds. So it's just kind of like this thing where you kind of run through, like the Castle Grayskull. It's just, you know, closed up. You go boom, boom, boom. Snake Mountain, boom, click, 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 bam. Crystal Castle, boom, click, 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 done. You know, and the Fright Zone, putting that together doesn't look that difficult. It'll just be a matter of finding places for everything, and then as we go, figuring out what's the best solution for Wind Raider. You know, one of the things I plan on doing is finding a way to create a receptacle hole for the flight stands from Motu, and then integrate that into a floating shelf that's made of acrylic that I can then drill into the wall. So I can have like multiple along the back vehicles and stuff like that, because I have everything. Why not use it? You know, it's going to be especially useful for the Sky Sleds. I have at least 3, if not 4 or 5 of those. Plus, you can still get those really cheap. So there will come a time, possibly, when I'm like, I need like 8 Sky Sleds, bros. And then we just get 8 Sky Sleds and we just mount them and it'll be fun. I'm not there yet. Don't send me any Sky Sleds yet. Plus, you don't know where to send them. And I was also going to say, I meant to say this before, and I got off topic, which I have a tendency to do, and I know this. Boba Hicks says they let any old riffraff in the Beaverton estate. I mean, you know, what I call it that, not at this point, but once we're unpacked, maybe, because it's going to look pretty nice. You guys might remember, I don't even know if I brought this up or not, but I had went ahead, after I saw the new Superman movie, I fell in love with it and immediately turned around and went back on everything I said about the movie-related stuff from the Todd McFarlane Superpowers line. Bought everything. And he had it in a thing where you could get all the figures except for Mr. Terrific, and then you could get the ship with Mr. Terrific, and that bundled together was relatively inexpensive for what it was. I ordered that weeks before we left, like 3 or 4 weeks before we left, hoping that it would get here like a week before we left, and then we'd be able to travel with it, kind of a thing. It did not arrive until after we left. Tracking never updated. Still hasn't updated. I had to call down to the mailbox down in Arlington, which we still have, and say, everything arrived. You have 2 packages. Which was like, oh, okay. So that's probably those McFarlane toys. And they double-checked the return address, and sure enough, they were. But I was very relieved in the sense of like, oh, so I have managed this well. Like, I was worried we'd have so much stuff there to forward and all that. I'm going to call them probably tomorrow. I'll be like, hey, how much is that going to run me to forward those things up here? Sort of a situation. But I got those. I'm super stoked to have those. What I'm getting at is as I'm going through these bins trying to find, so like, I talk about, oh, we did, 30 some odd bins full of toys. Well, some of those is just like, it's Castle Grayskull is in the tote, plus a bunch of bag figures to pad it. And that's it. That's all there is in there. Same thing with Snake Mountain. Same thing with all the Superpower stuff. The Superpower stuff is like 7 bins. There's so much big stuff that you had to put in there. But it's all there. It's all safe. So, I'll be setting certain stuff aside. I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do with the Superpower stuff. What will probably happen, and try to visualize this with me. As I walk into the room, you'll have those 2 tables going this way. Then I have 1 table going off to the side, 1 table going off to the side. That's Motu Land. So you have 2 tables that are coming out of the wall. Like if you had an ironing board that came down, that kind of a thing. But 2 of them this way. So 6 feet this way, 6 feet. Yeah. It's basically a square at that point. 6 feet by 5 feet. Not bad. And these 2 tables off to the side. And then that leaves us with 2 more tables. So what I was going to do is put one of the shelves right next to the old blue shelves, put it right next to the left side of Motu Land, then put another table, maybe both tables, depending on how much room we have left, and then let the shelves kind of mold the rest of the wall around. And eventually get more shelving for the back wall, and kind of stuff like that. So it'll be something where you walk in, and you just kind of walk along this 30-foot corridor and just see all these toys. That's the hope. I do think that more of the shelving than I had before, or similar shelving like that, will be needed. So, because there's just a lot of toy lines that just never got to see the light of day. And while yes, we're clearing a lot of the space for G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends, to a lesser degree Star Wars with these tables, there might be a part of me that just says, fuck the shelves, let's get more tables. It just depends upon how things work out with what we have to begin with. So we'll see. So what I'm getting at is that the 5 shelves might be enough if I decide, for example, Star Wars needs to live on a table, which it probably does. Classified needs to live on a table. Real American Hero needs to live on a table, kind of a thing. And I like that idea. You just kind of walk around. It'll be cool, I promise. Boba Hicks says, I cleaned a tons of stuff out of my loft, chucked a load of boxes, mostly Black Series. Yeah. Satisfying, right? Giraffe says, if there was one thing you could bring from the great state of Texas to Beaverton, what would it be? What do you find yourself missing the most? And his examples are a steakhouse or Buc-ee's. I I like Buc-ee's fine. I've only been in there once. The problem with Buc-ee's is that it caters to the people that travel a lot. Caters to travelers, not locals. It's never meant to be for locals. So what do I miss? I miss the Chinese places that we had there. We have some okay stuff here, and it's good. It's very good, but it's not the same. So I miss that. I miss having access to Yingling beer, even though I don't agree with the politics of that company at all. I love the beer. It's my favorite beer. I miss that a lot. That's what I miss the most. And then, of course, if I could bring one thing, I'd pick one thing. It would be an actual Dunkin' Donuts coffee place. I don't even need the full service donuts or anything. Just give me a coffee booth near the house where I can get coffee all the time. Because these for Portland being purported to be a coffee town, they don't know how to do coffee. You tell them to just give you a cup of coffee, and they look at you like you're from Mars. Hey, do you want an Americano? And I think an Americano is going to be like regular coffee. No. It's like a darker than dark roast that defies your palate. It's just like, no, you will not taste anything. And it's horrible. So yeah, we keep the Dunkin' beans here, which I drink exclusively. I have the Dunkin' creamer. I love it. It's great. But I do miss the service aspect of ordering a couple extra large Dunkins and have them show up my door. Now, is that saving us a ton of money every month already? Yeah, it is. But I don't like admitting that. So, but I will say that I miss that the most. But in lieu of that, it would be nice to have availability of Yuengling. Although the beer that we have here, there's a ton of good beer. If you can't find beer you like in this town, you just don't like beer. And I would venture to say that the same is probably true for coffee, but I don't want to have to travel to find a good cup of fucking coffee. So sorry, folks. Like there's some great places. Like if you're after the super fancy coffee milkshake stuff, no better place in the world. But that's not me. I don't want to take a milkshake and cram it into a cup of coffee and call it an iced mocha choco froca frappe froca frocka frocka. I don't need that in my life. Occasionally, Lauren wants one. She can have one. Absolutely. And she'll be like, do you want anything? I'm like, we've already spent $17,000 on your one thing. I don't give her quite that much shit, but it sucks though, because with DoorDash, you have a threshold of $12 you have to meet for a delivery to work. And they know that. So they take this thing that should be $5 max, charge you $8, $9 for it. But then they're like, you still have to pay $3 to get this delivered free. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I just try to get a regular cup of coffee, which often forget it. It's, it's a whole thing. Giraffe, I'm glad that you agree. Salzburg's in the house with a $2 super chat. Thank you. Says most special coffee shops suck. You're not wrong, man. And they think that they don't. That's the part that just drives me up a fucking wall, man. Boba Hicks, dead on, says the old coffee ways are extinct. Yeah. Be coffee, cream, sugar. That's it. That's all I want. Sulfur says coffee should be hot and black. I mean, before I put my creamer in it, sure. And I know Big Tough Marine likes cream and sugar in his coffee. Look, no one said being tough meant you had to taste stuff all bitter and shit. Right? Speaking of, I don't want to get too mad, so I'm going to switch vapes for a second if you get my drift. So this is from a place called Planet of the Vapes. little loading chamber here. Boba Hicks knows what I'm doing. This is awesome. To say that I've saved money on the state flour since coming here is an understatement, because I can use less than half of it, and this is good. I can't go into too much detail, but it does kind of bring up something. I've seen a lot of channels doing something a bit similar, though I haven't quite seen what I want to do yet. I want to kind of create a small network of channels, which has my name on it. And like, I already have one for music. I already have one here, which will be for collecting. I'll have a separate one strictly for video game play moving forward. Probably one for state flour, right? Oh, battery just fucking ran out on me. Okay. I probably need to reload it anyway. Figure it out. But that's my only gripe with this particular device, that it only uses one of these batteries, which is fine until it runs out on you when you're not expecting it to. That's all. But for the massively on sale price we bought it for, we each have one. It comes with a battery. So it's like, well, shit. All right. I'm not going to worry about it. Those batteries aren't that expensive. A charger is not that expensive. So just be prepared. There we go. So this will work. What I was saying was, I haven't even touched this yet. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay. So you just use less of this. It saves you money, and it's a nice thing you can carry around. You don't bother anybody. You're not stinking up the place or nothing like that. It's just less of a pain in the ass to imbibe. But there we go. Yeah. The thing is, this is something else I don't tell you about this kind of stuff. This is what's called dry herb vaping. So you're essentially baking the flour, but you're not combusting it. So there's 0 carcinogens in this. 0. Which is crazy. Plus, you can keep the spent goods, if you will, and put that in, like roll that into butter or a cheese or whatever. So you got some good shit options with this, and it lasts longer, like I said. Plus, you can essentially dial up how much intensity you want out of what you're doing. So like right now, I've got it right in the middle, so I can just get a couple of hits. I'm good. Okay, this is a good thing. Where's my mouse? Right in front of me. I want to catch up with you guys. Let's see here. Oh man, you guys were really on board with this coffee stuff. Giraffe says, Deschutes Fresh Squeeze IPA solid. It was introduced to Apocalypse at Blazers game at Media Center. It's not great, but it'll get you there. And that's the thing. I like a good flavor in my beer. Largo says, Foo-foo coffee is annoying. I like it bitter, like my soul. Fair enough. That's right. Even Bill going like, yep, getting that to chill a little bit. Yeah, I was getting a little bit mad. Giraffe agreeing with Salzburg on the coffee. Better for the win. Nice cherry and cream cheese dates on the side. Good Lord. Yeah. Largo Rogue River Brewery makes a good stout just down the road from me now. Here's the thing. Rogue just closed all their shit like this week. Suddenly, randomly, without warning. I don't know what's going on. I don't claim to know. So Rogue may have gone rogue. I don't know why. There we go. And like they know who they're selling to with that thing too. It sets a timer of, you can set it to whatever you want in terms of how many minutes it's heating things for. And then it just shuts itself off when it, after you've X minutes have passed. So you're not wasting any of your flour, and you're not just leaving this thing floating around, heating up at 410 degrees and whatnot. It's good stuff. And then you can just pack it into these little guys right here. And this is enough. This is good for like anywhere from 20 to 40 hits, depending upon what temperature you set it at. Good stuff. I believe it says Boy Scout Jim getting his backup battery out to get some of that THC vibe. Yeah, that's a true story. This is what I wanted to get to. DTH Blitz. Sorry, Dith Blitz. I'm just going to call you Blizz. Blizz says, I save money now. Wife convinced me to quit vaping. It's a good thing to save money on. Lauren is committing to stopping vaping nicotine at the first of the year. She'll probably continue vaping something flavored, but she doesn't want any nicotine in her system. And I kind of said, well, if you're going to keep vaping, the nicotine's actually good for you, depending upon things. But if you want to stop, I'm not going to tell you not to. There's this fella on Facebook. If anyone wants to know, I'll get you the details privately, but I don't want him getting hit up by marketplace rules and shit. He sells vape flavors really cheaply. For example, I got 6 of these, not this one flavor, but it was like a random pack of 6 for $65 out the door, shipped to me from where he's at in Texas. And it's very high quality stuff. It's clean. It's not dissimilar from what Rob was making me before. And I don't want to saddle Rob with shipping stuff. I'll talk to him in a little bit, see where he's at on that. But he recommended this guy. And the stuff's very high quality. So for barely $15 for a bottle this size, that ain't bad. Because I remember when I first moved to Texas, getting a bottle that big in some places would cost you $30, $40, $50 or more for a 120 like this. Some of the prices have loosened a little bit, I find, but at the time, it was really hard to come across stuff at a good price, and that's part of why Rob and I just kind of, like, he wanted to make his own flavors. He was already kind of in that realm, so I kind of helped him pay for some of the ingredients along the way and get things to where he can make. He's got enough product to make his own vape now in perpetuity. There is some stuff I want him to make me and ship out at some point soon. Specifically like the menthol stuff I used to like, because I'm curious now that I'm no longer smoking herb. I'm vaping it now. The air up here is way better. I'm exercising more. I'm curious to see if the menthol will affect me differently in a good way. So we'll see. But if you don't want to vape, I totally understand. Giraffe says, pretty sure we should go to pub crawl with Loggers Lair with Grindhead to make sure he samples everything good to make a decision. I've already made my decision as far as what my favorite beer is here. What's in terms of, and I'm talking about widely available, relatively inexpensive, and consistent. And that is technically a Washington State beer, Rainier. I love this beer. It's very good. It reminds me of several beers I could get back in Pennsylvania. It's good stuff. Now, as far as like because for me, beer and coffee are the same thing. As far as I don't need crazy. I don't need crazy over the top, like, well, there's hints of blueberry in it. I don't need that shit. I don't. But I admire folks for their ingenuity and you know, it's a whole thing. I like this. Salzburg says, I'm so basic on beer, Yingling, and if I'm traveling, then Miller. Yeah, I used to be a Miller guy too. It started giving me headaches pretty bad, so I stopped. I see you. But that's the thing, though, with this stuff. If you like, it's the same thing. Like, as far as that goes, like if you're coughing, it tends to work better. All that stuff. It's the same. But you're not ripping your throat apart. Sorry about that if I hit the mic. But it's not ripping your throat apart. It's not ripping your lungs up in the process, but you still get that effect. Super cool. Giraffe says, Rainier comes fresh from here. Seattle, I know. Used to love their old commercial with bottles of Rainier running around the woods. It's good beer. It's just beer. It's good beer, but it's not watered down crap, right? And I've had PBR here. And here's the thing. Y'all are going to laugh at me, but people who know will tell you PBR tastes different depending upon the city you're in. It's just the way that beer distribution works, right? Same thing with Yingling. Same thing with anything, really. But the PBR here tastes pretty good. It doesn't taste as... The PBR in Texas is battery acid. It'll fuck you up. It just is. They're doing something to that PBR. But Rainier's awesome. TJC's here. Evening and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Blizz says it's more like she didn't want me for long-term health stuff. Completely understand. Can't argue with that. My timing is crap for stopping. Holidays are stressful, but also means if I can get through, we should be fine. I agree. The trick is to not transfer it on anything else. If you transfer, and this worked for me when I quit smoking. When I really quit smoking. And then when I picked up smoking again, it was less than 6 months and I got to vaping and I haven't changed since. But when I started smoking again, it was a conscious choice. I'm like, fuck this. I'm smoking kind of a thing. It wasn't like it just happened. No. I said I'm smoking kind of thing. But I was quit for like 7-8 years off of this. I quit cold turkey, nicotine, and I just switched to water. Anytime I would just take a sip of water. And it helps quite a bit. Another thing that can work, like a sugar-free lozenge, like Werther's makes sugar-free Werther's. So if you like that kind of a taste, those are good. Sugar-free lifesavers. Okay. So something that's no calories, no sugar, something to give you the ritual. But I find that if it's vaping, small bottle of water, especially if it's a short, stubby bottle, that could help you if you need it. But congratulations either way. Salzburg says, I get the wet shorts if I'm not careful with too much Miller. Yeah. For a while there, I was the 30-pack of Miller High Life guy. And I had this buddy, Billy. This is in Aurora, Illinois. He lived a couple floors down. And if you stayed in that apartment building, you stayed there because you wanted to be close to town, but you probably also didn't make a ton of money. Because this place where I was in was a 1-bedroom, but it was a big 1-bedroom. All the utilities were included, except for internet. And it was $1,000, less than $1,000 a month, for a nice size 1-bedroom. Full bathroom, kitchen, nice big living room, you know. But I furnished mine. He did not furnish his, so he would often be like, "Hey, can I hang out at your place?" Because he didn't want to sit on the fucking floor. He was a laborer. He did like landscaping and shit. So the idea of sitting on a ceramic floor against a cement wall did not appeal to him. We were good buddies. I was like, "Yeah, come on up," and we would drink a 30-pack between us of High Life, and it would be about 3-4 in the morning. We get bored and start doing slap fights with each other just to pass the time. I miss that dude. But that was all Miller. It was all Miller, never anything else. There you go. That's actually a really good one. Sugar-free Halls help Salzburg quit smoking because you can get like the menthol effect from it. Smart. Salzburg's full of good ideas. It's so good to hear from you, dude. I know you've been busy with life and stuff, so I haven't wanted to bother you, but I just want you to know I've been thinking about you, and I love you, and I'm so glad to hear from you when I hear from you, man. Really. I know a lot of that's work, too. But you are not, because you are here. I really apologize that I cannot pronounce that name. But you are not. You're not. So, but that's why we do this. Like the whole idea is to set aside a couple days out of the year just to hang out and remind people that no matter how isolated you might feel, you are not alone. That's all we're here for. So camaraderie. We're simulcasting on Twitch and YouTube, so when you see comments in there, it may look a little weird, but we're all here. Don't worry. You're not alone. I'm going to get another cup of coffee here, actually, here in a second. Man, that thing really was dead, the gimbal. But I think everybody has their own thresholds with the vape stuff, and certainly with beer. I tell you, I've been drinking a lot less since we got here. I'm still good for a vroom vroom with some beers. But I don't drink and drive. I mean, but like I can hit the gas and just keep going if I want. But I haven't. I just really haven't gone down that road. Been leaning into the other stuff, especially since we're using less of that, but I'm using it more often. It's difficult to describe, but it's good stuff. Okay, talking about his job. Yeah, they're like having a bunch of fresh out of basic privates with their decisions with HR a lot. I bet because you're in charge of a sales team, right? Well, young sales teams, not fun to manage, man. There's a reason I got out of sales, and that's the reason. Imagine me now trying to like wrangle salesmen. Like the cops would be there all the time. They would be like, "All right, what'd you do now?" I'm like, "Me? You see what this motherfucker did? Fucking." That's what I would sound like. But right now, when I'm vaping, this guy makes this. He calls it Mr. Dread, but it's just vanilla cheesecake. It tastes awesome. It's some vapes you have to like. I think I taste a bit of it. This is exactly what it's supposed to taste like. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and that's part of my frustration with like the whole beer industry and the coffee industry. It's like, look, I understand you wanting to evolve this product into something that's unique and give people different experiences. I respect that quite a bit. But I don't respect it when it comes at the expense of what everyone else is used to, where it started from, right? So if you're a coffee place, you say we're a coffee shop, your base offering should always be coffee. Same thing with beer. I shouldn't have zero options below 9% if I walk into your establishment. Although, mad respect for that. Hats off. Right? It's crazy. It's crazy. Salzburg spent 4 hours yesterday with HR prepping for a warning. Oh, God. So that speaks a lot to your HR, though, too. You know what I mean? Like, it speaks a lot to, like, what the standards are for the company. Not in a negative way, just it's weird. It's weird. All right, I'm going to go get this coffee here. So I won't be on camera, but you'll be able to hear me because the mic comes with me. And I did promise Largo I would grab a hat on the way back as well, so I will. Oh. The old knees are not what they used to be, but they're working. Pretty sure one of my hips is out, or at least on its way. I have to get that looked at here. Re-registered with the VA up here, and just got to make an appointment in between now and Christmas. Get some evaluations. Might even get my medical card, which means I don't pay any tax on 420. I get a discount some places. Beyond that, because less paperwork for them. Okay. Got my coffee. Got a hat. And we're not going to get hurt. What sounds? Did you hear my knees click or something? Your local coffee shop has great food but lousy coffee. That's what I'm talking about. Got a hat. Put her on here. I promised Largo a hat. There we go. Now I'm wearing a hat. Hey, nice hat. Name that TV show. TJC might know. Levi jeans. Ooh. But here's the thing. In Texas, I wouldn't have done that. Because even though, yes, I know my breathing's a higher rate right now, to be upright that long, let alone talking, without a cane or anything else, I would I'd be out of breath. And like right now, the way I'm breathing, some of you might remember that when I was doing vlogging and stuff, there was a time where I would be breathing like this to talk. And this is just me catching my breath from that. And this isn't as bad as some of those vlogs were. Those of you that know. Oh, he just groans to move. Oh, I've been making them noises since my 30s. Okay. That's just the truth. I realized the last time you saw me, I looked fit and trim and everything, and I was for the most part. But I was beat up. I was used goods. Even at that point, 15 years ago. Oh, that's hot. Probably could have put a little bit more creamer in there, but Hugs right back at you, sweetie. For those of you who don't know, nothing, I guess it's nothing said, nothing said. I don't know if she's, the numbers always confuse me, but nothing is an old friend from high school. I'm old. We've been friends a long time. So it's always nice to see her in here. We used to be in a band together. Like my second band ever. Pretty much. If I'm not mistaken. And two of us went on to bigger things musically, like the drummer in that band. I was the vocalist of that band. A lot of people, you guys don't know that. He was the vocalist of that band. I would sometimes play drums, but only when he let me. The drummer of that band and myself both went on to be drummers for like larger bands and stuff. He's still very active. I am slowly getting in that direction. I think the irony is that playing drums, yes, it'll wind me a little bit, but not as much as walking around, you know. But walking around has been gradually getting better and better and better here. So a lot of that has to come down to the air quality up here is way better. We used to get air quality warnings every single day in Arlington, Texas. Here, air is perfect. There's also more moisture in the air naturally, which is a good thing compared to where we were, where it was either just not quite moist enough or way too much so. Plus the aforementioned, now I have stairs I have to navigate and stuff, and you know, the knees hurt, the back hurts, but that's all part of it. Been losing a few pounds. She's been losing a few pounds. Nothing says, wow, I think playing drums like it would be a workout like crazy. It is. It really is playing drums like that. But at a certain point, drumming becomes about economy of motion if you're doing it for technique. And I got very good at that. And granted, I haven't played regularly in a very long time, and I won't be playing cardiac stuff right away. Maybe some of the songs, but I can kind of control where that goes, right? And granted, I say all this now until I actually sit down behind the kit. That's going to be the question. Try to get to your comments here, but my mouse is going crazy. Here we go. Salzburg says, that's awesome for you. Dry air makes breathing a chore. You're absolutely right. It does. And yeah, Giraffe, you do have to store things like bread, like either in the fridge or in a bread box. We have a nice bread box we're going to use for a while. Alperin, that's not in the keeping of what we're talking about here, but I feel horrible that you are, and either you're refusing to accept a kind word from someone else or you're being a troll. Those are the only two options at this point. Either way, we're right here for you. You're okay. And we're glad you're here. We care. It matters to us. And, right? And I see that. You say you're not a troll. I believe you. It's that simple. I believe you, right? And I know what it is like to physically be in a place where there's no one around. We get that, whether it's on a holiday or not. And So I try to, as often as possible, do these things just to give people a sense of community. You know, we do it on the holidays more frequently because here in America, that tends to be a time when people tend to feel the most alone. So that's why we're here. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're glad we're here. We're just gonna hang out, man. Okay. And yes, nothing. It is like riding a bike. The movements, I don't think I'm gonna have an issue with. I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it's just going to be moving these limbs at those speeds will be difficult. Oh yeah. What's Salzburg saying here? I'm not even gonna. He says Jim knows he did it for like a year when I first found him. It's true. 100%. I can just get this damn mouse working. Jeez. Come on. There we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been in these weird places and stuff. And speaking of weird, by the way, if it was weird that I left the mic on while I walked to the coffee and talked, just let me know. Because if that was just like I don't need to hear him breathing that hard or whatever, that's okay. I can mute it the next time I do something like that. I also wanted to see if the mic worked the whole time, so there is that. But nom, nom, nom. Largo, I think Largo's still here. If you are still here, buddy, and you can hear me, I think I told you on the last stream, but I did manage to get your vintage 77 Spider-Man figure, by the way. I did get that. I don't know if I actually told you or not. So there you go. I actually got it. Giraffe says I don't have to mute unless I'm going to the bathroom. Yeah. We'll do that shit. Yeah, we're not gonna. Nah, you don't need that. Those are sounds you don't need to understand, right? I pre-ordered the. All right, so here's how my brain works. I went from going to the bathroom to the sounds that the fat guy makes to going, oh, Jabba the Hutt. That's what happened. Because they just re-released the vintage collection Jabba the Hutt for pre-order, which I was really happy to see that went back up. So I'm getting that for sure. Pretty funny though that for a guy who was like, I'm not gonna collect Star Wars. It's too much. It's a rabbit hole. Blah blah blah. Yeah, here we are. Several vehicles in multiple. You guys don't even know how many figures I have. Now, granted, a significant percentage of my 3/4 inch scale figures for Star Wars are Stormtroopers. A significant portion of them. Stormtroopers and Snowtroopers, I have a lot of. Not a ridiculous amount, but a lot. So I'm looking forward to spacing everything out, and I've got some. What you call it? Rebel Snowtroopers. Yeah, see, Salzburg, I was the same way. He says, I'm just getting Bespin stuff. I have all my Bespin stuff, But then this one fateful day, freaking Majestic Boy Bjorn, they're having a sidewalk sale the Story works at, and they had these old Power of the Force 2 play sets, these mini play sets, for $10 a pop. I was like, gimme. And one of them was Hoth, and one of them was the Bunker from Return of the Jedi. So I was like, ooh, that's an excuse for me to get an Imperial Walker, an AT-AT, an AT-AT, and then have it kind of between the two of them. And then also have the Bespin thing. And that's kind of grown slowly over time. But that's how it happens. You're only buying superpowers? Yeah. I'm coming back around to some of that stuff. I tried to get a Plastic Man a couple weeks back. The Postal Service got it from eBay. Postal Service says it was delivered. It wasn't. The seller got it back a week later, told me it happened, asked me if I wanted it over again. And I said I'd prefer a refund at this point. He tried to give me a run around. I talked to eBay. eBay says because the first tracking showed delivered, there's nothing they can do. So I'm going to talk to him after the holiday and be like, look, man, I would prefer a refund, but if you want to send it back, I'll take it. Just don't use the same service you used last time. Let's verify the address, kind of a thing. Because I definitely want a Plastic Man in my collection, because I had that as a kid. Giraffe says, not sure if you've seen it yet, but Motu 2000X figures. Yeah. I saw. I'll put it this way. In short, all of 2000X I'm skipping. I have no dog in that fight at all. And I very much he says, no. I was quoting you. I never said only superpowers. I said superpowers was my first love, Motu Origins, and Marvel Legends. That's what I said initially. I have a whole video on it where I say, here's what I'm not collecting and why. And the funny part is almost all of those things I'm collecting now. And I mentioned like the maybe down the road I'll start collecting Star Raiders or Air Raiders. Well, I do have Air Raiders now. I have a bunch of the figures. I have like 60 of those figures. Need to get the vehicles though. But I wanted to start somewhere, and the price was good. But yeah, I cherry picked the cartoon collection Motu stuff. I have a He-Man and a Skeletor. Any of the She-Ra cartoon collection stuff I have, because that's the only She-Ra stuff we're getting. So all that cartoon collection She-Ra stuff I have. The He-Man and Skeletor, those are just on display on card in my living room, which I got to get protectors for, actually. Just because it's like they're never coming out of the package. They're, they're nice. I also got the Orko, because I wanted the conversion to his uncle. And I think that's it, right? So like I obviously got the She-Ra and Swiftwind 2-pack. I got all the She-Ra stuff. None of the Horde stuff. Just She-Ra and the Freedom Fighters. The only way I would get a cartoon collection member of the Horde is if they weren't otherwise made. So like Madam, whatever the fuck her name is, with the cloak and all that shit. I got her. So like the evil Orko, tall bitch, long legs, probably a good lay. That one. My memory's shot too, dude. But yeah, I definitely superpowers in the very beginning was like, this is all there is. I need to have this, and everything else was just kind of gonna happen. I was more laid back about it. I'm not as laid back about it now, but I'm more laid back than I was like 2 years ago. I would say like 23, I was like really like, I gotta get this stuff. But it's been easier, getting certain things. You kind of realize, okay, so like I don't really get FOMO anymore. Not really, because I know I'm going to get it. Because I have the means, and I have a supportive family, supportive wife. That says, if you want it, get it. Just get it. Especially if it's going to cost more later. So we do that. But there's times, we're kind of low on money, or the holidays are approaching, that she's like, slow down a little bit for this. I tend to do that, as much as I can, because the way the toy market is now, and certainly certain types of stuff, there are things that I'm much more comfortable not buying the second it comes out and waiting. And for the most part, I've been pretty successful with that. Only a couple of things where it's like, fuck, or I didn't quite get that in time. You know, Tripwire was a good example of that. Where I'm like, ugh. I was finally able to get him in box right around retail, and I finally snatched him up. That was one of my favorite G.I. Joe characters as a kid. Giraffe says, I can't wait to see Melody Britt, who voiced She-Ra at Motooniverse next May. Did they actually got funded? That Kickstarter actually got funded? Well, I don't mean to sound surprised by that. It just seemed like it came out of nowhere. But I'm glad they're doing it. I really am. Because we needed something that's Motu-centric, and PowerCon got too far away from that. I don't particularly like the way the guy that does PowerCon does business. I've heard too many negative things over the years to be like, yeah, that's the place I want to be. So this Motooniverse thing could be really cool. Now, that's not to say I would never go to Powerverse or PowerCon. I probably would, but I'm saying it's not a priority, and I'm not expecting to have the best time because it's a bit too big for my taste. Like San Diego Comic-Con, I don't have any desire to go to it. None. I watch my buddy Dan, Pixel Dan, every year, and he's just hustle bustle. There's no way to see everything you want to see. And that's not a fun time for me. Plus, I've seen the prices on their stuff, and I'm like, nope. Like, that is the San Diego Comic-Cons and Comic-Cons in general are kind of like, to me, the Starbucks of collecting. That's where, like, the normies go to collect. You know, they don't go to these smaller shows and stuff. What? Giraffe says, yeah, I'm with you. I just wish it was in Washington, eating your toy budget. Yeah, I get that. So it's down in California, right? Right? I don't know. I have been much more self-absorbed than usual the last couple of months. And so obviously the last few months leading up to the move, it was totally like, and then of course, the actual move process, you have to do that to a certain degree. And then being here, acclimating has been a thing. But that's why I've been, even though the rooms aren't ready, I've been like, I gotta stream at least once in a while. Keep things alive. Because I miss you guys. And to give me some much needed normality relative to everything else. So I just put a fresh capsule in here. And those aren't pre-packed. These are like little metal thimble things. You just actually put the flour in yourself. So not pay anybody extra or whatever. But yeah, it's fun. Because I can feel the caffeine creeping up on me in the negative way. And I still want to drink coffee. So this, perfect antidote to what? The poison you just drank, Dr. Jones. I love that fucking thing. Down in LA, yeah. I can only imagine what those hotel prices are going to be. And I don't yet know how I'm going to feel about traveling by then. So I'm kind of, plus in May, that's when Retropalooza is now. It was going to be next month. Now it's going to be in May. So I need to plan for that because I really want to go back to Texas for Retropalooza. Salzburg with a very timely question. See if I can get the mouse to work again. See, this is why I got the keep reminding myself why I bought certain things down in Texas. And one of the things was an extension cord with a USB, so I could put the mouse receptacle behind me so it wouldn't be so far away, to avoid just this sort of thing. But Salzburg asks, how has Jasper adapted to the place? He loves it. He's got stairs to climb and rooms to explore, and the boxes are like little skyscrapers for him and stuff. He loves the couch. We got Gabby a new bed, so she has one in the bedroom, one down here. He has a second litter box, so now he can kind of shit wherever he wants for the most part. He loves looking out the window. He's very much like his old self, but less restless for sure. He still occasionally fucks with the TV, but much more occasionally than before. But we've had the TV mounted, so there's no chance of him like knocking it off the wall or anything. I'm just worried about him. Like, he likes to bap the screen, so he needs to stop doing that. If I get him to stop doing that, and if he was just touching the screen, I wouldn't care. But typically these days when he's in front of the TV, he's just literally blocking me from working. I'm trying to get something done, which is a little pain in the ass. This also does concentrate. It does both. This is from Planet of the Vapes. It's called the Lobo. It's on sale right now. This thing is great. This thing is fucking awesome. We also got a Volcano, if you know what that is. Yeah. I would figure move to a legal state, do all the things. Because with these things, you tend to use less flour. You tend to get more out of them. Plus, there's that getting to take used flour and make edibles out of it. So, like, one of the things we're really focused on is making butter. So we can do baked goods that have a mild amount in them. And we can do put the butter out in your toast if you want to. You can fry it in with your noodles, like whatever you want. Very simple thing to do something very beneficial to us. So I'm stoked on it. And yeah, Jasper's just beside himself. The flight was weird for him, but he was a trooper. He was on the flight with us. We bought 3 seats for multiple reasons. The number one reason that we did that was so that each seat had a carry-on. So we each had a carry-on, and then Jasper was his own carry-on at that point, basically. I didn't want to have to hassle with it. Plus, with me being the size that I am, having an extra seat only helps, and by golly, did it help on the flight. That flight was great, by the way. We got a one-way, American Airlines, straight to here. We planned for it. We got good seats, good leg room, our own row. No one fuck with us. We each had a beer. I had a beer. She might have had something else. I think no, she might have had a beer too. We each had a beer. We were watching Tropic Thunder, director's cut, and by the time we got done with that movie, there was only like 45 minutes left in the flight, maybe an hour. As far as till we got to the gate and everything. But once you start descent, it's just like, okay, we're almost there. And your brain just shifts gear from I have to be in the air and everything. It was fine. And what's funny is that, we get to the airport. I had gotten the wheelchair service. It was a free service. It's hard for me to walk around. And I've admitted that to myself, and I'm not going to slow myself down or beat myself up more. Plus, with the having to move around and not having a place to sit and stuff like that, we were already beat up. She was beat up. So we had wheelchair service take us to the to baggage claim. And then they also wheeled us out to the Uber lot. With the Uber, if you've ever been to Portland Airport, or at least you haven't in a long time, dude, their whole Uber driver pickup thing is genius. It's this 2-lane stretch of traffic that goes in a U. It's like the bottom floor of their parking garage, basically. Just the center of it is like 4 lanes of traffic with the 2 combined, technically, for someone to pick you up for an Uber. It's great. They wheeled us right there, load us into the car. The car takes us to the hotel. She checks into the hotel. Finding our room was weird because only one side of the building we were on faced a parking lot. And of course, our room is in the one that does not face the parking lot. And our room is mysteriously missing. My legs give out at one point. I have to sit on the ground. We finally get up to the room. Everything's fine. And then a friend of ours had left us some 420 vapes here at the house because we knew we were going to be out past dispensary time. And I knew that Lauren especially was going to need something to come down from all the stress of the day. And that's her thing of choice. Like, well, she'll have a beer or whatever, but that for her, like, chemically just works better for her. So I was like, fuck it. And we just got stuff. And then she took an Uber out here to pick it up and then back. The irony, of course, to me, being that by this time it was midnight. And at 7 o'clock in the morning the next morning, our car and Gabby were waiting for us outside of our room. That's how fast the fucking guy drove. And I'll go into more details on everything when I make the actual vlog video of everything, but that was wild. So like the day that they're packing was the day before the actual loading, move thing. And Gabby gets picked up by this guy who is also driving our car. He leaves around noon on what would have been Wednesday. Turn around. We fly in Thursday night after the movers have packed everything up. Friday morning. So less than 48 hours later, our dog and our car are in Portland from Arlington, Texas. It's crazy how long that guy can drive. It's just fucking nuts. It's crazy. But it was cool because we barely had any time to register. She was gone. It was like she was at a dog sitter, so we didn't have to walk her while all this stuff was going on. And then we stayed at a hotel and she just shows up. That's how little a time she was gone. Fucking nuts. Worth every penny. Because the car was in good shape. Dog was in good shape. I had nothing to worry about, man. Although everything turned out more or less the way I wanted it to, none of the process was exactly as I thought it would be. But I feel like when I get around to making that video, i.e. when I find the graphics card in here in one of these boxes and hook it up to the computer, because I have the footage ready to go. I just gotta toss it into the timeline, play it all back to back, so I can make notes on what I have to talk about, what I have to go into more detail on, and so forth. Like, not really make a script, but just have an outline of what is supposed I need to record footage of, documentary style. And I'll do that. And then it'll be a pretty quick edit. And I'll put that out as soon as it's done. Members will get early access to it because I want to get feedback on it. Like, is this going to work? Kind of thing. Is there something more you would have wanted? Similar thing. It is real nice to see all you guys showing up today. And I realize a lot of you probably just have me on in the background while you're getting stuff done. And I appreciate that. I really do. It's good stuff. Fucking mouse, man. It just does not want to work the way I want it to work. There we go. You guys are impressive, man. You really are. And today was weird for me in the sense of, like, to start it at a time that is close to what I would normally start this stream at, on Thanksgiving, in this time zone. Like, everything's different, to like the regular, classic TGL time would have been 6 p.m. Eastern. That's what we all agreed on. So to do that here, though, I have to start at 3 p.m. local. So I don't mind doing that. It's kind of nice because for me, it's just what's hilarious, at least to me, is that it's exactly the way it worked in Arlington because WWE Raw, Monday Night Raw, is a live show and it starts at the same time no matter where you are in the world. So if I'm doing my live show on Mondays at the same time, what we get to do, I have the show and I have an hour to kind of decompress and then we watch Raw together. It's cool in that sense. So like, yeah, I have to start earlier, but I also get to watch Raw earlier and we have a longer evening to kind of chill after that, even though we love watching Raw and making fun of it and stuff. So the time zone has been a challenge, because by the time I really get my day going, like everyone I know is like, I'm getting off work, I'm going home, I'm getting offline. That's weird. But as we gain more friends and reconnect with more friends in the Pacific time zone, it's like, oh, well, now I have this range of people I can talk to, which is in a different way, which is cool. That's been the biggest adjustment by far, is the time zone. I like it. I like it a lot, actually, but it's difficult because it's new. It's the one I never lived in Mountain either, but I lived in Eastern half my life, Central half my life, and now I'm into the third act, if you will, of life, I suppose, of hopefully 4 acts. I would like to be around for a very long time. I'm planning to. So Pacific it's a totally new vibe, but it's worth it to have the kind of environment we have here, like just across the street, behind the houses that are across the street, is this huge, beautiful lake with trees. It is everywhere I look. It's just lush green. Everything smells fresh here. Generally speaking, the people are really nice. Are there bad parts of town here? Yeah. Is it a war zone? Not even close. Like, you got to watch yourself in certain parts of town. I have lived all over this country, and I can't tell you a single place I've lived where that wasn't true. So I really dig the vibe here, though. Like, even when you were in rush hour, it's not that big a deal. For Lauren, when she's driving, it's a big deal because she hates driving after dark like I do. I don't hate it as much as she hates it. But the only rush hour she's really used to is Portland rush hour. And yeah, it's stop and go, sure. But it's not that bad. Not compared to Dallas rush hour, not compared to DC rush hour. Oh, not compared to New York, not compared to Pittsburgh, not compared to Chicago or LA. Oregon by comparison is like, if all those other cities I mentioned are like taking a bite out of a piece of dried buffalo shit, by comparison, Portland rush hour is like eating a gummy bear. Where, yeah, it can get a little chewy. And it might taste a little weird if you haven't had one in a while. But compared to other things of its ilk, it's a very, very pleasurable experience. And I don't begrudge anybody yet. But yeah, as we get closer and closer to unpacking the whole toy thing, I'm stoked on it. I'm glad someone else thought that was funny. Nothing. But that's what it is. That's how it is, man. And that's another thing. It makes me think about it because like Nothing and Salzburg are both from Pennsylvania. I was a big Sheetz guy in Pennsylvania, and while I like Buc-ee's down in Texas, it wasn't something that was like an everyday thing. Here in Portland, that area anyway, we don't really have that same gas station experience for multiple reasons. The number one reason is that up until recently, it's been 100% full serve for a very long time. Well, nothing. Pittsburgh versus LA. So for those, she says, you can't believe I said Pittsburgh before LA. Pittsburgh has very unique rush hour in that you have one way in and one way out. And it's horrible. At least with LA, you can like get off on a side road and just kind of wait it out or go around. You don't have that option in Pittsburgh. You just don't. Like, you're stuck. It sucks. But yeah, we don't have, it's full service gas here until recently. And now you can kind of opt for self-serve. I'm like, no. I'll stick with the full serve. It's fine. But as a result, you have less people going in the gas station shop. Therefore, the way they build up the shops is totally different. So you don't really have that one or two places where you can kind of argue over who has the best sandwiches or snacks or whatever. There you go. So like, see, here's where it starts to get interesting. Salzburg saying that Sheetz has the better food, except for the Wawa hoagies and coffee he prefers. But like Sheetz, like their potato chips, I swear Snyder makes their potato chips so fucking good. Well, now they have the option for both, but you can still, but up until recently, it was all full service. So they just hasn't been a need culturally for like a sandwich shop inside of your gas station. And I wish we had that. Thanks, Salt. He's again, I like it when people validate what I'm saying, but it's always fun with it. It speaks the gospel on traffic in this Pittsburgh. Yeah, like when I was going to college out there, like to take a bus from Greensburg to Pittsburgh, which is a 30-mile drive, I had to be at the place at 5 to make it 8 a.m. class. And from my parents' perspective, this was to save money. Now, was it cheaper? Not really. It was, but not really. Okay. I was paying around $5 a day for the bus. But back then, $5 of gas gets you the same distance, if not more. And the extra hours of rest or just time to do things, it's crazy. So the fact is they just didn't want me driving they didn't trust me yet as a young driver in there. And I understand why, but bus sucks ass. And it just got to a point where, the only thing that made it more expensive was the parking. But if you parked far enough away, it wasn't that bad. Again, I was 18. I didn't mind the walk or whatever. It was crazy. See, here's where technology, I think, is cool. So, like, she's saying that getting around the tunnels is easier, which there's like one tunnel in and out on both sides. For some reason, this is not registering my clicks, which really pisses me off. There we go. Yes, I would imagine with GPS, it's a lot less of a problem. She's been on that bus. That bus sucks ass. She's right. Salzburg says some internet lady was at our Sheetz, which is easily the cleanest Sheetz ever, fast and quality food. Yeah, a good Sheetz is a good Sheetz, man. I remember when they made the switch over with the sandwiches to MTO, made to order. They had the touch screen stuff. And this is at a point when I was working out and about. And right down the street from where our warehouse was, where we'd go out with the Dynalab stuff, we'd all stop at Sheetz to kind of gather. Like, we all gather at the shop, but then we leave the boss behind, and we'd, gather up our stuff at Sheetz, and then we'd be on the road. And it was very much like loading up for a road trip. You'd have your sandwich for the morning. Sometimes if you're smart, you'd have your sandwich for the afternoon. And you'd have snacks, smokes, coffee, cold drink for later. Like, if you were a pretty good salesman at your job with this stuff, you would load up because you're going to be out for a while. Or if you were really good and you knew where you were going was really good, or you had a pre-made deal, you'd get a little less because you're going to be off the road quicker. Yeah. I love this conversation. Bypassing the tunnels with Rand McNally, map company for those that don't know, ain't happening. You're right. Morgantown Sheetz is amazing. Yeah. The Sheetz that I liked the most was this one we had there. So it was like it was on 22 on the way to Monroeville from Greensburg, right? So this would have been, it's not Wilkinsburg. That doesn't sound right. But if you were to take 22 from like the Twin Lakes area of Greensburg, or like downtown, just take the main drag of Greensburg all the way out to 22, and then bank a left for the most part. That's more or less where we were at. Sheetz was at. You guys that live in the area or have been there, you'll know which one I'm talking about. It was one of the newer ones that popped up around that time that MTO thing came to happen. Because it was a big parking lot and people didn't monitor it too close. So you could kind of get away with some shit. But also, they had really good food there. And they had really good stock because it was a bigger one, right? Murraysville. There you go. See? She knew. Murraysville. Now I remember. Thank you for triggering that memory. I loved Murraysville. I had a band in Murraysville, black metal band called Eternal Winter. Because I was living in Jeanette, working out of Murraysville, had another band out of Murraysville, and a band in Jeanette with McGoss. And then I would moonlight for some bands in Pittsburgh. Murraysville was kind of the place to be if you wanted to be close to the burbs and Pittsburgh without being crazy. Plum Borough. There you go. Oh, yeah. I know where that's at. So if you know that area, the Monroeville Fox's Pizza. Holy fuck, dude. I used to eat lunch there every day. When I worked in Monroeville, they did? Shit, okay. Nothing says that Walmart bought the Monroeville Mall. I heard, but they have like a limited amount of time to like get their building permits approved or something with the sale reverses. Did that go through? For those of you who don't know, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead was filmed at Monroeville Mall. A lot of things happened in that mall, good and bad, to anyone who grew up around there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I remember very specifically several albums that I bought there as an adult that were a big deal to me. I also met a very kind young lady at Monroeville Mall around that time, and we had sex often for a while, and then it stopped, and I was sad. But I met her there. She's a hairdresser. I was getting my hair cut. She gave me her number. She wanted to fuck. What are you gonna do? You fuck, right? Yeah. But tons of toy stores there, like Salzburg is saying. He says the Child World there is where he got his first Star Wars figure. I was in North Ridgeville, Ohio, when most of that was happening for me. That's where I was when I got my first that's where I got the first run of Motu, first run of G.I. Joe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Salt saying the original Night of the Living Dead was in Pittsburgh too. Well, the production companies out of Pittsburgh, I think they went to Johnstown to film, actually. Johnstown being way other side, which always confused me, but still a good spot to film. Yes, Blob was there in Downingtown. They have that Blob Fest every year where they get to recreate the running out of the theater thing. Nothing says they have the whole front of Sears off of Westmoreland. Not sure what they're doing. The thing is, if I could think of a way to revive the shopping mall, I would do it. Some places the malls are in better condition than others. We have a mall here that actually gets some decent amount of use. And I'm actually really excited to go there, even if there's only a couple things. Like those of us that are toy collectors, if you ever watch Attorney of Dreams YouTube channel, which he's a weird guy. I like him. He's a good dude, but he's a little odd. He's a little complainy in his videos sometimes. But I also think that that's because they're filming at times they probably shouldn't be filming. Like, let the guy go through his crappy crap and deal with his feelings and then film him, right? Because I think anyone who owns a retail store of any kind is going to have the gripes that he's got, right? He's also a very particular dude. I like him, but he has two stores that are both in shopping malls, and they're working out for him. I love that. If I ever did a toy store, I would love for it to be in a mall. Would love it. Love that. If the foot traffic could justify it. But I do find that a lot of these shopping malls, especially the smaller ones, have people coming in and they're getting retail space for crazy cheap, and they're keeping these businesses, these places alive. I think that if we treated it more like we used to, more like a bazaar or like an indoor flea market, I think that that's the future. I think that you take the flea market culture, as much of it as you can, and you import it into like a dying shopping mall. That shopping mall now becomes an antique mall. Boom, Bob's your uncle, right? Because I think there's plenty of people that do flea markets and the antique mall thing that probably have outgrown this little dirt floor booth they've gotten wherever Hicksville, and could use a shopping mall kind of vibe. Like, I would love that. Like, there's this, no bullshit, it's like a 3-story shopping mall in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and all it is, every floor is heavy metal merchandise, records, vinyl, CDs, cassettes, shirts, hoodies, jackets, hats, tattoos, airbrushing, music equipment. Is all there, right? So I think that if malls, or like the idea of a mall, could be specialized, so you could like revitalize old buildings and make them like these shopping centers and stuff. And I think that's in keeping with what we have here in Portland. So part of my brain has wanted to do like an antique store or a resale shop, so you can do the toy thing, you can do the music thing, you can do the refurbished furniture thing, all things I have a very big interest in, all under one roof, and it makes sense. But it's also like, well, what niches have we not really filled here in Portland, or what can I do to do something differently? So I've been keeping my eyes open and my ears open and stuff. Also, it's hilarious. If you look at the dead cat fuzzy on my mic here and where it is on Spidey's head, if you just kind of blur your eyes for a second, at least from my perspective, it looks like The Last of Us. He's got like the fungus bursting on his forehead, which is kind of fun for me personally. Yay, weed. But I'm looking at those types of things to see what could be next, right? Still applying for jobs, and there's, now that I've kind of narrowed my search a little bit more, I'm seeing better options, but it's still a uphill battle because people are losing their jobs all the time. So I'm just grateful that we're in a position that we're in, where we own this place. We don't have to pay any rent. We just got to pay the utilities. That's nice. Fun fact. So we paid the last couple of weeks of last month's billing cycle for here for utilities, and then the first half or the first third or whatever it was of utilities back in Texas. And the two combined were still less than we were accustomed to paying for 1 month in Texas. Like the electric bill here was like $60 for almost 2 weeks, which granted, there wasn't that much getting used. Totally. But we were regularly going over $300 down in Texas. I'm really excited for that. And plus it only being the utilities makes it like takes all the pressure off. As long as we're paying our HOAs and stuff, which we are, no one can say a fucking thing about us living here for the most part. You know what I mean? Like there's no landlord, which is huge. There's no mortgage company. There's no bank breathing down our neck, which is nice. So looking at like all these business ideas and looking at the kind of work that I could get, the kind of rates of pay I could get with this circumstance. My goal is to hopefully get as close to no mortgage as we possibly can without losing this place, buying another place. Now, if the place is dead perfect and I can get it free and clear by selling this place, we might do that. But it's not high on the list because doing the math for as long as our life expectancy is, it's more profitable to rent this place out in the long term. But we'll figure it out when the time comes. The idea of just not having that bill, you know. But what do I know? Oh, okay. I just wasn't sucking hard enough. That's an American problem I have. That's too much. But that's all right. I mean, it's just enough. Goodness gracious. Jonah Becky's in the house. And to you, sir. TJC says Texas is where the oil money is, hence the steep prices. No. I think it has more to do with other things. There's no state tax. There is state. There's no. You don't pay state income tax there, although you do pay that here. But there is a 8% sales tax in Texas, right? And the reason for like high car insurance, like your car insurance will triple once you cross the Texas state line, and that's not a joke. Part of why we just didn't drive anywhere. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not paying that. So, you know, when we'd say like it's going to take us a while to get things, that's part of the reason we didn't drive. Because, you know, almost $400 a month for 2 cars insurance is ridiculous. It could have been 5 or 6 in some places. We paid less than $300 to cover us for 3 months up here for car insurance by comparison. All right. Electricity is crazy expensive. Part of it is because you're using more of it. That's part of it. Just by simple fact, like it's hot there all the time. Right. Appreciate that, Mr. Salzberg, sir. Thank you for re-upping the Twitch. For those of you who don't know, we are simulcasting here on YouTube, but also on twitch.tv/grindheadjim. And if you have an Amazon Prime membership, particularly, you can go over to Twitch, click the subscribe button, and it'll let you use your Prime membership. It costs you not even a penny, but chuck some money over to me. So if you're into that, please do that. It says veterans can apply for sales tax free in Texas. I'm pretty sure now. I didn't hear a single word about that when I was there. But I'll say this much: the VA here works a lot faster than it does in Texas or Iowa, for that matter. I was able to log in to the site, and they're like, "Where do you live now?" And I said, "Here." And they're like, "Okay." And they're switching things over right now. I didn't have to do shit, which is pretty nice. So it's given me some faith that I'm gonna actually get some good care without having to apply anywhere else or worry about anything. Lauren had already had state-driven healthcare before she left here, and when we kind of changed our residency and just kind of logged on to the government website just to see if there was anything we could qualify for, her health insurance got reinstated, so she has health insurance now. Thank fuck. So we both have health insurance, and we're gonna be fine. So I'm gonna, like I said, between now and Christmas, I'm gonna get checked out over there and see if I can get into some physical therapy to start retraining my body, losing some weight, stuff like that. Maybe some mental health stuff too. Why not? And like I said, when I was getting the coffee, get my medicinal card, because that saves a lot of money, and it bypasses some stuff. So like the county I'm in, you cannot have herb delivered to you, or liquor for that matter. Beer you can, wine you can, but herb and liquor, nope. Some weird law. And yes, Salzburg's 100% right. I was getting to that. The reason the car insurance has to pay because there's a lot of uninsured people there. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of people who say that's undocumented folks, and that's probably true. And I also think that a lot of that comes down to just it's such a big state, and there's a lot of really rural areas. And I think that a lot of them are probably uninsured too. Not saying that if you're rural, you don't do car insurance. It's just they probably drive less, this and that, da, da, da. So if you do get into a car accident, if you're on the highway with one of these people, that would add to it too. But I think largely, I agree with what Salzburg's implying, possibly, is that there's a lot of people that are just uninsured in Texas. And Texas doesn't know how to take care of people at all. Oh, yeah. Having stuff delivered. So like in Texas, I can get anything delivered except for hemp. So if I wanted a handle of whiskey, straight to my door. Really cool. I miss it. But on the same token, we've got a great liquor store just over the hill that Lauren doesn't mind going to, and I don't mind not going to, that stocks everything we like at good prices. So it's like, it's not that big a deal. But that's a county law, not a state law. And then the same thing goes with 420. Like they won't deliver here, but in Portland proper and most of the other places, exactly, just as many whiskey tangles as undocumented. You bet. Like it's not always, it's not always one thing. There's lots of contributing factors to this crap. But you were thinking rural, yeah. I figured you were, but there's also that implication, right? But there's a lot of people in Texas just I don't give a fuck. Like they live in Texas to be left alone, and so they just I don't care about you can't track me nothing, like I totally get it. Anyway, so if I get a medicinal card here in Oregon, which why not? I certainly qualify, right? So because I'm a veteran, I pay 10% of the application fee. Not 10% off, 10% of it. So it's like $20. And so I will definitely do that. And then that's going to save us that the application fee will pay for itself the first time I buy anything over a couple grams, because of the discount you get just from not having to pay a 13% sales tax on the product. So it's like, plus I get a veteran's discount as well on the regular price of stuff. So essentially I'd be getting the way it works, at least at the dispensary we go to, which is completely independent. I love this. Well, if you're medicinal, you get 13% off because you're not paying a tax. Plus, we give you 15% off the list price anyway. I'm like, okay, sure. I have no issue with that, especially in a world where, because of the way I'm doing things with, just as far as mechanically with this stuff, I'm using less of it to get the same effects. But I like having the freedom to go ham if I want to. So like the Volcano, which for those of you who don't know, is just a huge tabletop vaporizer. Usually you see it fill up with a bag or like with a hookah hose and stuff. And again, this bakes your flower rather than burning it. And the bowl is about that big, about that thick, not huge, but big. It's good for group people stuff. But still less than you would expect for something that fills a bag this fucking big, But they also make a little thing, which I have. You just clip out the bowl and you have a half one, which is better for like 1 or 2 people, which is what we tend to use the most. Whereas I can take the same amount of stuff, put it into a water pipe or a water bong, and that's good for maybe 4 hits. Whereas this is good for like 8. So you're using less, and then I'm paying less because of the medicinal thing and the card and the discounts and all this crap. That is, good. It's really good, and I'm drinking less. So I'm, in every way that I can think of, this has been such a beneficial move for me. I hope that it comes across that I'm not stressed out. I hope it comes across that I don't feel manic or anything. Because I feel really good. And Salzburg will know, because Salzburg, his wavelength and mine kind of go in the same thing. So he can tell I'm being nuts. Right now, I just have 2 cups of coffee in me. And I'm excited to see you guys, plus a tiny bit of 420. I'm good. I'm having a blast, actually. This is interesting. Salzburg says, and I know VA, Veterans Affairs, for those who don't know, will cover it for weight loss too. My friends would, they cover like Ozempic and that shit? Really? Really? That's awesome. That, I was hoping that was, I know they have like this weight loss program and everything. That looks really interesting. I'm hoping they do the GLPs, because they do the GLPs like, let's go. Because I think that would be a good place to start. GLP-1s are amazing. Only negative is that your taste change for some sweet stuff. That's okay. I would prefer to curb my cravings for that stuff, because if I'm medicating hard at night, the strain that I prefer, in addition to almost knocking me out for sleep every time, also gives me a strong appetite, typically for sweets. So I gotta be honest, that would be the perfect answer for that. Not to mention the fact that if at any point I feel like the GLP is curbing my appetite too much, it's nice to know I have something I can be like, well, I need to eat. So I don't worry about that too much. Blizz is heading out to eat. You have a great day too. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. You're not alone. You take care of yourself. Oh, he was a WWE jobber too, but he gets the other name brand, but it's the same as Manjaro. Okay, I got you. All right. Yeah, I know that these different ones have different things, and it's because okay. So you've been using it too? Okay. I didn't realize that. That's cool. It says cannot stand Hershey peanut butter cups now. Like, oh yeah. That would suck for me to not like certain things that I like, but at the same time, it's like, if you're keeping me away from this crap that's not good for me and steer me into a place where I only have an appetite for so long, it's basically the way it's been described to me is it's like a chemically forced fast, and you eat like once, maybe twice a day. You eat small meal, whatever. So he's forcing you into those healthy habits, just by virtue of eating at a certain time of day, and because your appetite's lower and stuff like that. I'm okay with that. I'm all about, like, let's lower the portions even more. Let's keep me away from sweets. You know, it only turns off the good noise the first day or so each week. Oh, okay. So like you're like suppressing your natural appetite for the first couple days of the week, and then okay, that's cool. So like as the week goes on, you have your appetite naturally goes up. That's cool. So you could arguably plan it to where, like, all right, well, I'm going to make the last day of the week Sunday, and I'll do the shot at night on Sunday, let's say, so that each weekend that's where you're going to be the hungriest, or your appetite's going to be the most natural, right? Which makes sense for like barbecues and stuff. Or do the reverse, so that you take it in the middle of the week, so that that over the weekend it's strong. You're not going to be tempted at barbecues and shit. I like that. That's kind of cool that you could plan that shit. And the fact that the VA insurance covers it, that's fucking crazy. I'm looking forward to having a relationship with a VA doctor out here, because again, I'm not moving. I'm staying in the area. So I want to establish that. I want to, again, get the medical card. I want to talk to them about the weight loss thing, because all of that leads into me just having a much longer, healthy life, which is what we're all about. Salzburg says, I was that guy who's consistently contacting with the next meal. The typo, I meant right food noise. Okay. You do Sundays? Okay. I got you. So you were constantly thinking about the next meal. Well, I work chow to chow anyway. That was always my way in the military. And I tend to look at all of this with a grain of salt. Like I know that my eating habits aren't the best, right? But for example, yesterday I had total for the day like 6 slices of pizza, and Little Caesars size slices of pizza. It's not huge. But it was over the course of an afternoon and an evening. Like, it was kind of like a late lunch, early dinner crammed into one thing. And granted, pizza's full of carbs and everything else, but that's all I had to eat for the whole day. And I realized you're meant to stretch out your stuff more. And the only reason we even got pizza was because we had a friend over, and I just wanted something simple. I'm like, I don't want to. And I thought this individual was really hungry, and they were, but what that meant to them, what that meant to me, was two different things. So I bought an extra pizza I really didn't need, but it was Little Caesars, so it wasn't that expensive. Plus, at least the Little Caesars around here, and because it is a much less dry air here, Little Caesars tends to last longer here. So I'm so happy, because there's nothing better than Little Caesars leftover pizza. In fact, I might take a couple bites of that after we get off the show here at some point soon. We're approaching 3 hours, and it does not even feel like it, folks. This is a good conversation. I'm enjoying this. So thank you for being here. I really, truly appreciate it. And if you're lurking, appreciate you lurking. I'm not going to name any names. But if anyone has questions about anything, about the move, how things are going, what it's like up here, Texas memories, toy collection stuff, toy news, stuff like that, that's what we're here for. I'll be here at least another 10 minutes. Yeah, he said 3 years ago I could eat a whole large pie. Now at most I do 3 slices. And that's kind of where I'm getting to, just naturally, by virtue of lowering my portions or fasting most of the day, which is good. but I feel like this will take me that much further, right? So I think it'll give me just a little bit further, and which is I think all I need. Because lowering, the sugar and stuff like that, and it's not like Olestra where it's blocking the fat intake or anything, but it does some interesting things to blood sugar that needs, I think, to come down. And I think that some of the initial weight loss that'll come with it will be really helpful, especially as I'm getting back into shape and hopefully in conjunction. So if this is all under one roof over at the VA, I'll be getting physical therapy to like retrain me how to walk, make sure we're doing it right with regard to my back, with my knee. So I'm not just muscling my way through it like a fucking stupid Marine, because I have been doing that, and get working on a pain management program. And laugh all you want, nothing. Olestra, I liked those potato chips. I thought they tasted awesome. But you could also taste the filminess of it, which was a little off-putting, but the flavor was great. I loved those. Didn't care for the little squirts that they gave you, but they're really good. But I'm looking forward to like just being on a whole wellness plan. He does not give you a softie like that stuff. Fair enough. You have a crown now? Oh yeah, because you're one of our top fans in the chat. That means you've been talking a lot, which is good. We like that. We like engagement. It helps keep the stream alive, which is all I ever want. As long as people want to talk, I'll talk. Like I'm here, That's the whole point of today. And I don't even have to think about leaving here for another 3 hours or so. So I'm giving you till at least the top of the hour here, but I'll probably stick around till about half past the hour at this point. So I'm having a good time, and it's not hurting my feelings none. So it's good stuff. What the hell was I talking about? But anyway, like the whole idea that all of my healthcare could be under one roof, can get physical therapy, can get my back looked at, can get my ankle looked at, get maintenance on that, the weight loss thing, and all under one roof would be, and just having regular primary care, that would be the best. And from what I've read other reviews of this particular VA facility and the facilities in the area, that they have a really good reputation. So I would be over the moon if I could have veterans health insurance that actually did the job. That would be fucking awesome. Nothing says, I'm my fucking ass off. Not you having an excuse to just talk endlessly. It's better than it used to be in a lot of ways, because a lot of that motor mouth was me masking my ADHD and my autism. And now it's just something that is a bit more natural for me now. Again, environment, self-awareness, learning about things, proper medication stuff. You learn these things over time. I don't mind taking the time to process something now. Where in the past, and I think many people have watched me stream years ago, which includes Salzburg and other people that are here. Some other folks have watched me even longer. I would just keep rattling off stuff, even if I wasn't processing everything I was saying. Whereas now I try to be a lot more deliberate and do my best to complete my thoughts and not go ooh squirrel too much. I think I'm pretty good at that. I think a little bit of caffeine, a little bit of flour tends to do the job for me. But I'm very much in a good place with everything. And also too, just like doing this during the day is nice, to be perfectly honest. I enjoy that aspect of this. looking forward to doing it more regularly. I don't know if it'll be this Monday, but it'll be a Monday very soon where we're coming back every Monday at that same time we used to stream, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, for at least an hour. I wouldn't mind starting it from here in the living room. But at the same time, I would much prefer to be doing it from the office where I have like the nice chair and everything. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Diagnosis means everything, right? It was just this year I figured out the autism part of it. Because I was doing ADHD stuff all the time. I would read that and be like, oh, yeah, that sounds like me. And definitely sounds like my wife, and blah, 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 blah. By the way, if my voice is out of sync, that's because the phone is the camera again. In fact, I can just pause this for a second. See if that's any better. Yeah, it's better. Syncing is better. Okay. So that's nice. If it starts to lag again, let me know. But if it ever gets out of sync, that's me. That's not you. I was going to hook up the webcam this morning, but I decided not today. I can probably get that done early this week, and then just always have access to the webcam, which would be fun. It'd be good. And then I won't have to worry about this crap. 9 years ago, wow. Yeah, I won't be pursuing anything when it comes to mental health at the VA, just because I think a lot of my reactions to things have been folded into the things that I didn't know I had and had to deal with. Someone's going to stick with the physical stuff, which is plenty. Between my ankle and my back alone, it's like, well, no, those happened when I was in the Marine Corps, and getting older hasn't gotten them any better. Let's fix them. Get you back on some of that metaxalone, which is basically a muscle relaxer with no narcotics in it. Best muscle relaxer I've ever taken. That is the shit, for sure. I'm going to get back on that. As needed. I wouldn't want to take it as a preventative. Like mornings like this morning where I can feel those last 3 vertebrae just like, ow. It'd be nice to, sorry for shaking the shaky tripod. But I'd love to be able to take something that just lessens all that by a lot. And, maybe looking into this more after weight loss and seeing like how much of this is fixable, how much of it isn't. And if it, once the weight is down and I can prove I can keep it off, and I think the easiest thing with that is starting to walk the dog and, drumming, whether that means pulling the old drum set out or getting an electronic one, which is probably going to be electronic at first because I don't want to make that much noise here. Doing those things to stay in shape, they worked very well for me when I wasn't, before. It's difficult for me or other people to remember or realize. Prior to the pandemic, while I wasn't in the greatest of shape, I was in pretty good goddamn shape. I moved myself to Texas and then from Houston to Dallas. From Houston to Dallas was with no help. I loaded the truck and unloaded the truck on the same day and then drove to Dallas to move. And then it was shortly after that pandemic hit, sedentary lifestyle, and the weight gain happens and everything falls apart. So the idea here is get the weight loss off, get me in a position where I can actually exercise in the ways that I want to. We're going to be doing DDP here very shortly. For those who don't know, Diamond Dallas Page Yoga. We have the initial DVDs. I need to double check their Black Friday sale that's coming up. We should just get the rest of it, or at least pay for the app or whatever the fuck, because we know this is good stuff. We know it'll work for us because yoga has worked well for both of us in the past. and we have seen the results of his program. And it's like, no, we need to stay in shape. And it's something that once you, with yoga or any other kind of exercise, once you get in a habit, it doesn't have to be like your whole life. Like an hour a day, a half hour a day can make all the difference. Like my whole thing is if I can do a little bit every day, take the weekend off kind of a thing, or stretch it out. We do 3 intense things during the week, and then over the weekend are like stretchy recovery type stuff. Whatever it is, and it, be less than an hour every day. That's the shit. Between that and playing drums for fun, like I underestimated just how well playing drums was keeping me in shape. Because nothing can attest to this. In 2010, when I came around Pittsburgh, I'm always going to have a little gut. I'm always going to. But I was looking good in 2010. I was in good shape. I looked even better later that year when I went vegetarian. I lost another 60 pounds. And I was fucking mean shape by then. But I stopped playing drums, and it was a huge adjustment for my body. Like, what? You mean no more exercise? But you're still going to eat like this? Okay, cool. So I really should have addressed this problem many years ago. But it's okay. We're here. It's fun. And I do like this. It's really hard for you to find therapists that don't treat you like you're neurotypical. Depending upon if you have insurance, what it covers, a good place for that is what's that app called? Podcasters talk about all the time. Anyway, it's the popular one. And I actually did that for a while. And they were really good about all that kind of stuff. You'd be surprised. So if you haven't already looked into that, look into that. It'll be the first thing that'll pop up. You just type in therapy app, and they do take most insurance. Salzburg says his buddy's back is brutal bad too, so that makes sense. Okay, there you go. Got you. Okay. But yeah, like DDP, like he's been through a lot of the stuff that I've been through injury wise, like you're saying. So like his program was designed around recovery, core strength. Like the core strength is everything. If you don't have core strength, you're fucked. I need to build my core strength back up. Bottom line, and that's a good way to do it and keep it working. Better help, exactly. That's what it is. Salzburg, better help. That is the one. Which I will probably be using if they'll take VA insurance. They probably won't. But if they do, fuck yeah. But then again, it seems to me in my absence, the VA has gotten way more tech savvy and way more streamlined. In fact, the Oregon VA put out this newsletter the other day that their backlog from the shutdown is gone. Like, we fixed the backlog, we're good. We're all caught up. Come on in, we got you. Which was like, that's crazy. When I first got out of the military, and certainly by the time I tried to actually use my health care from the VA back in like 2016 for the first time, that was not the case at all. At all. So it's already just been so easy. So I'm really happy. So we're just in a lower pressure environment where there's access to better levels of care. That's going to cost us less. Everything except for food basically here is costing us less than it did elsewhere. And where it does cost more, what we're saving on everything else makes more sense. It's like, I'm really happy and I'm thankful. I'm grateful that I have this life, and I'm that I'm not alone in this life. Not just because I have you guys, but because I have my wife and I have our Gabby and Jasper, and we're going to be getting another cat somewhere around Christmas. Probably not at Christmas; it'll be too much, but probably right around the first of the year. I'm going to let her pick out a cat because Jasper does need another cat. And I think the family dynamic would be perfect. There was always one furry around trying to get pet. And then once we're fully unpacked and really in good shape, we've got all our everything down to a size, by then health will be caught up a little bit. I think Lauren and I would be ready for another dog. But it really comes down to me being able to walk our dogs. So if we all go out together, kind of a thing. Oh, I love this. Salzburg says there are a lot of therapists, even remote ones, that take TRICARE since it's good paying insurance. Perfect. Thank you. That's awesome to know. The cat distribution system is working for you, eh? That's how we got Jasper. I've told the story before. Followed Gabby home. He chose her. And then between her and him and Lauren, we're having a great time. And she's just trying to get me to see the cat before it leaves. I told her, bring the cat in, pick him up, check him for mange, dirt, schmutz, cuts, scars, injuries, illness. He's perfect. He's in perfectly good shape. And then he just started, and I was like, so what am I going to do with you? And he just starts licking my nose. And I'm like, well, I guess that's it, huh? Because I was worried that they were going to find out about him and I have to pay all this extra money and crap. They didn't care. They were going to do whatever they could to charge us on the way out. And they did. A fairly ridiculous amount. Basically, they charged us another full month's rent in expenses on our way out. Because we left a couch there. And they chose to replace the carpet, which, by the way, they were already replacing the carpet in all of the units as people left. They were just doing that. They're redoing everything. Besides, that's what you do after someone's been living in a place for 3 years. Typically, unless the carpet was brand new when they come in, and it wasn't, you just replace the carpet. But they charged us for that. So, fun fact. But I'm just glad to be out of there. 2 of Salzburg's cats were just provided by the universe. There you go. Boba Hicks showing love for the Jasperator. And nothing sent me a cat tax. Cool. I'll look for that later. But he's awesome. Jasper's great. He's, like I said, he didn't like the idea of traveling, but did well. Like I never finished the story. Like he sat in between us, kind of under the seat. We cheated a little bit. He made a few meows here and there, and I know the noise probably bothered him and everything, but he was really good. We put him on as low of a dose of gabapentin as we could get away with. So it was still effective, but not going to knock him out. And he was good on that. And then when we got to the hotel, let him out. And the hotel we had, it was an extended stay, so shades of the old place I had, but it was a suite. So you have a living room, the kitchen, bathroom, and then across from the living room through a door, a little nook for an office, and then the bedroom, which has another corner nook for an office, and a nice sized bathroom. Which, if I'd have had that for that 3 years, I wouldn't have been complaining about living in a hotel. Then it would have been cool, because that was a pretty nice place for the price. We were there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. So 4 nights, and we paid less than $500, which ain't bad for up here. It's like $450, I think, for the whole thing. And to have that much space for that amount of money, not bad. And when you get into like full weeks and more, that rate goes down. So we'd probably have been, for a full week, we'd probably been around the same price, which was at one point what I was paying for that small little hotel room I had in Arlington. But like I'm saying, like that was would have been a very nice place to stay. And I wouldn't have torn myself away unless the amenities were that much better, kind of thing. But to move here to that and give him space to just run around and have fun and have all these new nooks and crannies was great for him. He loved it. So, all good. Feruza. With a double R, Uza. Okay. Cool. She is Siamese, if you please. She is Siamese, if you don't please. I can't not sing that when I hear that. Anyway, kids, I'm going to start winding this down. This has been really good. It's been a lot of fun. Get to catch up on some shit. Relax with you guys. Have a couple cups of coffee, a couple puffs. Talk about sheets. This has been great. And it's a good primer for me going into time with family, which typically is very, very chill. Family's pretty good. They all want to hear Marine stories, and they all want to hear rock star stories. It's like Christmas time. That's all I was doing, And most of the people that are asking those questions are older than I am. So I might be retelling the same stories over and over. We'll see. But it'll be nice just to catch up with everybody and have a nice meal, and but also not be a focal point too. That's what I like the most. Like, you never feel ignored around my family, but you also never feel like you're on the spot, which is good. So I ain't mad about it. Plus, not having to cook, even though I kind of complain like, oh, I'm used to cooking my own stuff. It'll be nice not to have to worry about that shit. So, but with that said, you guys are the best. I love you very much. I hope your holiday is great. If you celebrate, if you're not celebrating, hope your day is great. Hope your week is great. Hope your weekend is great as we move into December. I will see you very soon. It might be this Monday. I would like for it to be this Monday, but it depends upon some stuff we got to get done around here. So, barring anything crazy, hopefully we'll see you Monday. If not, it'll be well before the holiday, sometime the next couple of weeks. And then we'll definitely do a Christmas show, and if at all possible, a New Year's Eve show too. So, love you guys. We will see you soon. Have a great one.